Attention. Good morning, everybody. May I have elected officials and anyone here for public comment, please sign in. Thank you.
Good morning. We're going to be starting in about 2 minutes.
Usually it's if we kick the lawyer out. So that's a change. Trent doesn't use it, but he doesn't know any better. Yeah, I just got here late. I was actually playing it golf tournament. It's a long drive from Arizona. Doing all right? Good. Good to see you.
How are you?
Now the mayor got it under control, he says. Good to see you.
Yeah. They're going to, yeah. I think you're good. But no, that's not your, oh no, that's, yeah. 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 And we can change it anytime in case, not just in case something. Huh? Yeah. Okay, now officially I'll hit the gavel. First of all, good morning. No. Good morning. It's good to see you all here. And I appreciate everybody being here today. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I told the ones that were here early to hit the burritos. And for the ones that weren't here, too bad, too sad. And you can thank them. So with that, I want to call this meeting of November 17th at 8:31 to order. Let the record show that 5 of the commissioners are present and a quorum has been established. And can I get a roll call?
Here.
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 Here. Here. And with that, do I have a volunteer? I always pick somebody out, but it's almost Thanksgiving and I don't want to insult anybody. Or can I have a volunteer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? There we go. And that means I'll laugh at your joke. With that, we're going to go on to approval of agenda. You had a chance to review the agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, or any other action at this time? If not, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Chenoweth. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Commissioner Alice. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries unanimously. We'll go on now to approval of the minutes. You've all had a chance to review the minutes of the regular meeting of September 15th, 2022. What is the pleasure of the commission? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I have a motion from Commissioner Alice. I have a second from Commissioner Chenoweth. All in favor? Opposed? Now we're gonna move into introductions. And as we move into those, I want to acknowledge our Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Morales, and I'll let you say a few words in a second, but I wanted to start off by acknowledging you. Thank you for being present. Do we have, we don't have, you said we didn't have a list?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think we're full. We're surrounded by very humble elected officials here today. So if there are any, we can ask them to introduce themselves after
Can-
Lieutenant Governor.
Can I have elected officials in the room stand up? The election's over, guys, stand up. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Thank you for being here. Is there any other elected officials? And with that, Lieutenant Governor, if you want to sit, before I go on, if you want to say some words.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the commission, Secretary Cerna, and all those who are here present, it's wonderful to welcome you home here in Silver City. Having the opportunity to travel all around the state and seeing the work that's done across New Mexico is significant, and I want to thank the commission for your leadership on that and working closely with the department and making sure that we're doing it in a way that's consistent and at the same time ensuring that we're meeting the needs across the state. And I want to just take a moment to specifically thank, I know we have a lot of our District 1 employees who are here for the work that they've done. And just recently, as we've seen all across the state, we've had floods, we've had fires, and this area was wasn't spared from any of those disasters. One particular area that was impacted was the bridge in Cliff, between Cliff and Gila, and it was impacted where that whole community was not able to cross. I think that they had to travel within 4 hours just to get into the Grant County area. The work of Secretary Cerna, Trent Doolittle, all the team from District 1, and all the work that was done by our District 1 employees worked overnight to make sure that we were able to put not only where it'd be safe crossing, but at the same time to really have an impact, so that way we don't have to revisit that until we have significant funding to address some of those issues. But that's just one example that I've seen that the Department of Transportation has done, and I'm so grateful for the work that's been done, because whether it's the fires that have happened up there with Herman's Peak, and when we've seen that we've needed to transport material over there, or we've needed to provide support and assistance, or whether it's impacts that have taken place in other parts of the state of New Mexico, the department, the agency has worked closely, and I know that's in collaboration with the leadership, Mr. Chairman, that you and the commission have shown. So on behalf of the state of New Mexico, we just celebrate all the work that is being done, and I welcome you to my hometown here in Silver City. I want to thank the Grant County prospectors who always go above and beyond to welcome any, whether it's a legislative committee, whether it's a commission just like this, or whether it's other groups that come into our areas. They do such a good job to make sure that it's a warm welcome, and I'm grateful and thankful. If I can ask, Mr. Chairman, if all the Grant County prospectors who are present, if they can stand and please be recognized.
Of course.
And with that, Mr. Chairman, again, it's an honor to have you here, and I look forward to listening more on the meeting, and at the same time to recognize one of our own. Thank
And
you.
on behalf of the commission, we want to thank you not only for being here, but we want to look forward to working with you for another 4 years. Congratulations to the governor and yourself. And it was a good first 4 years, and we're looking to another great 4 years. So again, thank you for your attendance.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
With that, we're going to go on. Is there any other elected officials here before I move on? Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. State Representative Luis Terrazas, District 39. Again, interested in listening to what we have and working with you again. Thank you very much.
I want to thank you for your attendance. More importantly, I want to thank you also for what you do for the state of New Mexico. You have a hard job, and there's a big legislative session coming up with lots and lots of items that need to be addressed. So I want to wish you good luck, and again, I thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? With that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the NMD OT staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you look over to my left, you see that the tables are getting crowded, which is always a good sign. Lots of, some new faces and some new roles, so I'll start off here by introducing Mike Vigil, who's representing Lisa Vega for District 6. On that note, I want to congratulate our district engineer, Lisa Vega. She's a new grandmother, and so I believe she's taking some time to be with her daughter and her new grandchild. So, so Mike is here in her absence. Next to him, in District 5, Paul Brasher. Next to him, James Gallegos in District 4, Justin Gibson, District Engineer in D3, Francisco Sanchez in D2. And as you all may be aware, I know certainly a lot in the room are, that we recently moved Trent Doolittle, the DE from District 1, to serve as the acting Deputy Secretary at the General Office for DOT. So acting, of course, in his place is Gene Polk, so we welcome him here today. Next to him, of course, Rick Padilla, our Executive Director, Highway Operations, and our new Acting Deputy Secretary, Trent Doolittle. Next to him, of course, you all know Ken Baca, our General Counsel, and our colleague at FHWA, Cindy Vigil. So, Mr. Chairman, it's a pleasure to work with this group of people.
And thank you. I want to, can I have the commissioner, the county commissioner stand up that, yeah, you know, if, I would like if either Trent or Gene, if you could sit down with him at some point and he can contact you, because I want, a lot of people don't realize that we're here and the DOT offers a lot of resources, and sometimes people aren't aware of them and they don't take full advantage of them. And so I would like for you guys to meet with him and make him aware of all the things we have, like the local government road fund and in any way, because at the end of the day, we're all partners and we're like a piece of a puzzle. And the only way we're gonna be successful, and that's why we're here today, because we're going around the state and we want to hear everybody's voice, rural, urban, wherever that is. Because we can't get better and we don't know the needs if we don't come out here and meet with you. And we were talking last night and you were saying, hey, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. And so now's a good opportunity, and they'll, if you can leave them your number, you can give them a call. They'll sit down and they'll go over everything with you. Because let me tell you, we have a lot of resources to offer. And I appreciate the conversation I had with you last night. Thank you. You're welcome. With that, we can start on that end and we'll introduce ourselves.
Jennifer Sandoval, Commissioner for District 1.
Bruce Ellis, Commissioner for District 2.
Helmut Chinoweth, I'm the Commissioner for District 3, which is the Albuquerque area.
I'm Walter Adams, and I'm the Commissioner for District 4, and I'm a Raider fan, but I'm saying it very lightly these days, so.
I'm Tom Taylor. I'm the Commissioner for District 5, which is northwest and down through the center.
And our secretary, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. Ricky Sarna, Secretary, not a Raiders fan. Thank you.
Oh, you guys better not be laughing at. So with that, I'm gonna go on to the welcoming remarks. First of all, I wanna thank the city of Silver City for your hospitality. It was great. Last night, there was a very, very nice reception put on. We were able to meet with a lot of people, and that's part of us coming down here, is to make sure that we can meet with people and get things done. I want to thank for the reception last night. I want to thank Tony Trujillo, Freeport, Mac Moran, ACNM, Dan Silva, and for the breakfast. It was provided by Western New Mexico University, Julia Morales, Grant County Prospector, Southwest New Mexico Council of Government, Priscilla Lucero, and team. And some of the donations were with Bohannon Houston, Sauter Miller, Stantec, and we'd like to thank the Silver City Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome everybody to this meeting, and as I said earlier, I don't want to repeat myself, is that this commission made a commitment when we were appointed to come and to travel and not to have all our meetings in one place where people don't have access to go. So we have the access to get here, and that's why we want to come. When we came in, one of our objectives was to make sure that people have a voice, because at the end of the day, we work for you, and we're proud of that. And that being said, we're the ones to get to sit up here, but you see all those people in the back, all these employees, we made it a point to make sure that these employees show up, and not everybody can because we have things ongoing, but I'm glad you're here because the commission wants to give you a big, big thank you for the work you do each and every day. Each and every day you show up and you give 100%. And I'm proud because I put in 42 years in the field. I came from the bottom up. I started in 1977. I just retired like 4 years ago. And so we don't sometimes take the time, but each one of us up here knows what it takes to be out there, to show up to work, to come out and fight snow, to be able to run reports, to do this and to do that. And so I want to give a big, big thank you and shout out to each and every employee that's here, and our employees that came with us. We have people here that come and set up, and we want to give them a shout out. And they help out with all this stuff. They come ahead of time. And we have Mershan and our admin secretary over there. And they are the ones that make things happen. You guys are the ones that make things happen. So again, thanks for what you do. We're only as good as our team, and you make us shine. You make us shine. And I would put our team up against anybody. So with that being said, we're very, very honored to be here in Silver City. This is our last meeting for the year, but you can contact us at any time. And before some people leave, I always save this for the last, but on behalf of the commission, we want to wish each and every one of you a blessed and a safe Thanksgiving, and that you and your families be safe. And again, thank you for everything you do. With that, I'm going to go on to public comment. So let's give all these employees a big hand. That's why I turned them on to the burritos before everybody else got here. So with that being said, we're going to go on to public comment. If we have public comment, just raise your hand and we'll have you come up. Come on down. That's like the Price is Right. You just dropped your phone?
Good time, today.
Okay.
Good morning, commissioners, and Mr. Chairman, Secretary. I just quickly am talking about, we every year have had the Best of New Mexico program. Usually we get out the invites by now, but they're coming out next week because we modified a few of the categories and things. I just wanted to reiterate that it's open to cities, counties, the department, any of the contractors. So please encourage some people to submit applications. Last year was our lowest submission ever. Usually we have 15, 18 submitted, and we had like 10 or 12. So it's pretty easy. The application's pretty easy. There's, I think, 10 categories now that you can pick out, and we would love to present them probably at the commission meeting in March, because we're not going to be able to see all the projects before with the legislature coming. So that was it. I just wanted to get that out, and please, DEs and everybody, get things submitted. Thank you.
We always appreciate you coming. You attend all our meetings, and we appreciate what you do. Thank you. Any other public comment? Because once I move, I usually come back and forth, but after I move on now, we have such a long agenda that, you know how they told some of you, speak now or forever hold your peace. Well, this is the time. Okay, with that, we're gonna, can I have Julie Morales come up here? Is she here? Hey, well, hey, that's good enough for us. And then if I can have Justin come up. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners. Good morning. and elected officials, and most important, the employees here for NMDOT. My name's Wayne Sherwood, and I am part of the Grant County Prospectors. And what we've done is we put together a little gift basket here for Justin because of his service, one, to Grant County, but also for the state of New Mexico, being a deputy director. We really appreciate it, all the work you've done, the highway getting funded here from Silver to Deming. We are so excited about that. I mean, I can't tell you how, for me personally, I worked in Deming for 5 years and commuted, and having that highway done. So congratulations and thank you.
As part of the 180 project, I can take all the credit for that. I got Lieutenant Governor Morales, a lot of the legislators in your guys' area, Saya, Luis, your legislators have been a big part of us being able to push that funding through legislation, and hopefully this coming legislation, we'll try to get the remaining funding to get it done, so.
Well, thank you.
But we'll get the first 2 phases done, we know that for sure. So.
Well, appreciate that so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And Justin, on behalf of the commission, we want to commend you for all of your work and your hard efforts that you were out there every day trying to make a difference, and you did. And it was very, very fitting that our meeting, our last meeting of the year was actually here, and we didn't know at the time that you were getting ready to retire, and we're going to miss you. But more importantly, I saw how everybody loves you. Everywhere you go, you're like Silver City's son, and everywhere you go, everybody's so proud of you. And you made yourself, you gave them something to be proud of. So know that everybody's proud of you. We're proud of you, and thank you for all you did. And we want to wish you the best of luck on your next career. I first met Justin. There was well, let me see how I say this, because then she'll get mad. So I first met him through a coworker of mine, and she wanted me to meet him. And the first time that I met him, he made such an impression on me, and I said, he's the guy. And you got to remember that the person I'm telling this to, she's a hard person to convince. And she says, really? And I said, yeah.
No names,
well,
Walter, no names.
now, and Jennifer, where are you? So Jennifer became his wife, and they've been together, and they're a good team. And I knew him before he came to DOT. So on behalf of the commission, let me present you with this plaque. And again, we thank you for all your service, your hard work, and your commitment. Thank you. And then we have a video, correct? Okay,
Can I just have one thing? I just wanted to say one thing.
Oh, yeah,
before we
go
start.
ahead.
I'd just like to thank everybody, thank you, Chairman Adams, all the commissioners it's been a great 3 years. Secretary Sandoval, he should be here somewhere around here. It was great being part of that team. All the district engineers sitting over there, it was awesome. That's all I can say about the DOT. Great place to be, a great family to be around, and I'm very fortunate that I'm able to come to my hometown and be able to receive this honor and be part of this. It's fitting because I was a public works director for Grant County, and this building used to be a big call center, so I was part of the whole remodel. For me to be sitting in here speaking on my retirement when I was actually part of this whole facility being developed, it's pretty fitting to be able to come back to that. So all the staff and people that have worked in the town of Silver City, Grant County, a lot of people are here that helped my career succeed and move forward, so I'd like to thank all of them too. So thank you guys very much.
Well, you know what I was happy to hear last night is that you hear me at all the meetings say that at DOT we're a family, and and if you haven't worked at DOT, you can say, well, but it's true. And last night that I talked to Justin, he said, this is my family. And so we're all here at DOT. We work so much with each other that we go to each kid's graduations, we go to kids' baptisms, and we cover for each other while others have to go do family stuff. And so we are a family, and again, thanks for being part of this family.
That's the biggest thing I think about the DOT that people don't realize, the friendships that you build and the relationships, and it's amazing how you could carry those on forever, continue to be friends with everybody else, and carry on conversations and just be part of the team still. It's from looking from the outside, it's a lot different, but I'm ready to move on with my career, but I do miss being part of the team, so,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you guys
Again.
for everything.
Can we have the video?
Oh, Justin, congratulations. I'm so, so happy for you. Happy retirement. And hopefully the people that you work with know how incredibly fortunate they are to be around you on a regular basis, because your fun, fast-talking, loyal, knowledgeable presence is sorely missed at DOT. And I'm not the only one who thinks so.
What up, Justin? Hey, just want to say, ever since I met you, I've been impressed and always enjoyed your passion and love for Silver City, and you always speak so highly and excited about your family and your kids and grandkids that are there. So it's always great to have the opportunity to celebrate you here in your hometown. So it's great that they can be here to see what a great job you've done throughout your career and finishing up at the DOT.
I just wanted to thank you so much for your leadership, your friendship, and I certainly want to congratulate you on your retirement, and I want to wish nothing but the best for you. And if we can ever be of help to you, just give us a call.
Just a couple of words here to say thank you. I want to thank you for everything you did for me while you were with the department. And I want to thank you for your friendship, your leadership, and all the good times that we had. And I want to make sure that you understand how much I appreciate what you did for me and what you did for the department.
Hey Justin, just wanted to take this moment to congratulate you on your retirement, all that you've done and the impact that you've had on the state, but most importantly for the impact that you've had in my life. You've been the closest person to me growing up. We've been through so many good things, so many challenging times, but I see the person that you are and the impact that you had on so many people, that it's only fitting that we celebrate you in a way that is truly deserving.
I enjoyed working these past couple of years with you here at the DOT, man. You're one of the reasons why I wanted to come back. I always consider the DOT just an enormous family. And so you guys all made me feel welcome, and we're gonna miss you. Enjoy. Hope Jay doesn't keep you too busy with house chores. Other than that, we'll see you, I'm sure we'll see you around.
Commission won't be the same without you. I wish you well on your ventures, and I'm sure I'll be running into you at Owls again soon.
Well, Justin, it's been a pleasure working for you. I look forward to seeing what the next chapter of life brings you, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Hey, listen, bud, I just wanted to, first of all, thank you for the last 4 years. I know we've learned a lot from each other. I know I have. It's been great working with you. We really had a good run here at NMDOT. I want to wish you the best of luck moving forward. I hope everything works out, and just want to congratulate you on retiring from NMDOT. I'm right behind you. I'm hot on your heels. Look forward to some golf in the future. Wish you well, bud. If you ever need anything from us, you know where to come. We're always here for you, buddy.
I recommend every morning you get up and you cook a nice breakfast. That way your wife has a nice healthy breakfast on the way to the office for the next 6 years while you head out to the golf course.
And I just want to say one more thing. Chicharrones.
We're going to miss you working for the state of New Mexico, but we know that you're going to do some wonderful things. And what brings me the most joy is that I know that we're going to be able to continue to do the things that we've always done as children and continue to do now as professionals. And I'm so proud of you, Justin, and I'm grateful to know that not only are you my close friend, but you're a brother to me. And I'm so fortunate to have you in my life. And I know that many others feel the same exact way about you and what you've done with the Department of Transportation and your whole career. I know that Brandon, Corey, and Felicia are just as proud, and I can't wait to see how the future unfolds for you as you move forward in the private sector. God bless you, Justin. I love you.
Justin, I just wanted to thank you for all the support you've given me in the district, especially down in the Southwest. Being from Silver City with Lieutenant Governor Morales being from Silver City, there were a lot of issues that came up that made it to your level. And I appreciate the fact that you communicated and coordinated with me to ensure that we got those things done. I also appreciate the office. I appreciate the guidance that you provided, but if you hadn't left, I wouldn't have had this opportunity to step up. So, good riddance. Just kidding. But I do appreciate the support you've given. I wish you the best. I know that you've got some plans for your retirement, and we'll be in contact. But if there's anything I can ever do for you, please let me know, and expect some phone calls from me, because I've got some big shoes to fill. Look forward to working with you. Thank you for everything that you've done. Happy retirement. Best wishes.
Justin, congratulations, man. I envy you. I hope you had an opportunity to rest, relax, and recharge your batteries a little bit. I know that you had some aspirations to do some work post-retirement, and I hope that that's materializing and working out well for you. And I'm hopeful that it means we'll get to cross paths again sometime in the future. Although we've worked together for such a short time, I'm in debt to you for your assistance and all of the help that you gave in my transition to the department. I'm thankful for all the information, the insights that you provided me about what DOT does, the communities that we serve, the players and the politics, the do's and the don'ts. So I wish you the very, very best, and I want to ensure you that I was paying attention the entire time we worked together, and kind of recap the 3 things that you said were most important to being successful here at the Department of Transportation. I think they'll be valuable to almost anybody that's listening, and that is lesson number 1. The first thing you told me, I think it might have been day 1 or 2, was wear more jeans and less slacks. Number 2, and this one I've realized is very, very true, and that is don't do or say anything that pisses off Mallory. And number 3, of course, is first and foremost, and what's most important, is that people just want to be heard and listened to. So those are 3 things that I took away from the time that we spent together. I hope again that I have an opportunity to work with and interact with you in the future. I hope that we have an opportunity to interact in the future like we did in the short time we worked together. I wish you and your family the very, very best, and good luck, man.
Go Raiders.
Oh. Say that lightly.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. And let me tell you, Justin had a passion. He had a passion to do what he did. I just have one question for Justin. How does Franklin make it into all the videos? With that, we wish him the best of luck, and we go on to number 8, presentation, Grant Curry Transportation Priority. Chris Ponce, Commission Chair, Charlene Webb, County Manager. Come on down. Welcome.
Welcome. Bienvenidos to Grant County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commission Board Member, Secretary, and thank you for having us up here, and I hope you're enjoying your time. Before I get going on what we wanted to talk about is I really want to thank, in same sentiments that our Lieutenant Governor had, District 1 employees. When our bridge went out, they worked tirelessly. They got it done, and they got everybody back on track and headed home, so I really appreciate that. And I thank all you guys for everything that they did, so thank you. The other thing that I probably should, I will say, is I want my nephew, Justin, congratulations, and thank you for always being there. Did a great job for DOT, so thank you, Justin. You want to start off?
Just to reiterate again, can't tell you how thankful we are. I am actually a resident of the Cliff area, and so being able to see the response and the hard work, the tireless work is just amazing. And so my heartfelt thanks to the district employees, and to see your support for them is tremendous as well. What we wanted to speak with you about is just the same story you continue to hear is our abnormally aggressive monsoon season. Started in the Grant County area in mid-June and didn't slow down. An ongoing issue that we have had in Grant County in the Gila area is the Highway 211 crossing at Bear Creek. it's just the norm for the area that if it rains, we know the detour signs are going up, and we know that we're going to go around, and the residents have learned to adjust with that. This year presented a few more phone calls for us, a few more concerns, and also just recently led to a delay in fire EMS response to a house fire we had in that area. So it delayed the response, which prompted our attention to bring this to you just to begin the discussion of how do we address this in the future? What is a more permanent solution other than the orange signs, and when it finally stops running, your crews come in over and over and clean it out. I understand there's a lot of debris that comes with it. There's a lot of agencies, coordination that has to go in with that. But we just wanted to bring it to your attention that it's now become a public safety issue, and would love to begin the discussion with whoever that is, with our District 1, our new engineer. Trent and I have spoke about this, and we would stand for any questions, or would greatly appreciate the discussion.
Trent, can you take the lead on this and meet with them and see what we need to do and see what options are available and see, and, you know, so I think your dialogue would be with Trent, and he can let you know the whole process, what you guys need to do and all that. And then, as I said, we have other people that want to meet with both of you, so we can let you know on the government, local road funds and all that stuff. But let's separate that one. We'll concentrate on this one, and Trent will be your go-to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and apologize, we're gonna have to leave early. We have a Grant County Commissioner Board meeting right now going on at 9, so, but I thank you for the education I got last night and seeing the different processes and getting to meet you guys, and I really appreciate it, and thank you, and I hope you have fun in Grant County.
Thank you for asking, because when you're asking those questions, you care. And I just want to say that our commissioner, Commissioner Sandoval, she's a fighter here for District 1. And at any time, feel free to contact her, because she does whatever. We have to fight her for money too. And each one of these commissioners does for their districts, but at the end, our overall concern is for whatever is, we prioritize things and we address things that need to be addressed, whether it's in our district or not. So safety, public safety is our #1 concern. And so you can thank your Commissioner Sandoval too for, she had brought a little bit of that to our attention, so feel free to contact her.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandoval, and it was a pleasure meeting you, and thank you. And thank everyone, and again, thank all your employees for all the hard work they've done for us. Thank you.
Thank you. And just as the Lieutenant Governor said, and you guys said now, we've been here almost 4 years, and I'll tell you that in those 4 years, we've battled the coronavirus. We went for like almost 2 years, a year and a half, we went Zoom, and we'd rather be here amongst the people. We went through floods up there. I'm from Las Vegas. We had Mora, we had Vegas, that was the biggest fire in Mexico history. Right after that started the flooding, and so we were having to work with different agencies, counties, with National Guard. We were having to work with everything. It was a coordination through our district and our people with all the other agencies that we were able to sustain a lot and do the best we could. So we've been faced with things that, in fact, up there, they're still battling to get, things back in order, but our employees were there 24/7 each and every day. And without them, we couldn't have done this. And so I sleep good at night knowing that we have these employees out there. So thank you, and thank you for acknowledging them. Thank you for coming today. And hopefully you can work with us and get things done.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
With that, we're going to go on to item 9, proposed dedication of the Sergeant Robert W. Barron Memorial Corridor. Justin.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, members of the commission. It's good to see you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed down here in Silver City. So Item Agenda 9 is a follow-up to the agenda item that was brought before you in July when we presented the facts of the case for Sergeant Robert W. Barron. And we were looking at it at the time for a dedication of a memorial. As you know, there's commission policy that allows for dedication of roadways or of structures. And so I've been DE coming on about 2.5 years now. About 9 months ago, I was asked by the county sheriff's office if they could go put up a sign. And so this kind of came by way of organic nature through just one email. And so I was looking at it, and it was not a sign that, was for MUTCD, so we started looking into it, and that's kind of what's led us here to today. So one thing that I would mention is that it's been long overdue for this individual, for Sergeant Robert Barron. As you know, he was a law enforcement officer that lost his life in a secondary crash that's near and dear to the DOT's line of work, which was during a winter storm event. And so I just wanted to see if we could stand and ask for the memorial for Sergeant Barron to be read. It was a discussion item in July. I'd be asking for your approval, and I would like to introduce Mrs. Krisha Barron, who would read the memorial on behalf of her and the family.
Welcome.
Thank you. Dedicating the 1 mile portion of Interstate 25 from milepost 254 to milepost 255 in Sandoval County as the Sergeant Robert W. Barron Memorial Corridor. Whereas Robert W. Barron was born September 10th, 1966, and was a resident of the town of Bernalillo. Whereas Robert W. Barron graduated from California State University, Northridge with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science and Public Administration. And whereas Robert W. Barron served in law enforcement for a total of 25 years. During his career, he worked with the Los Angeles County Probation Department as a probation officer, the Federal Bureau of Prisons as a correctional officer, and U.S. National Park Service as park ranger and wildland firefighter. In 2006, he joined the Sandoval County Sheriff's Office, where he served for 8 years, first as a deputy, then as a detective in the Criminal Investigations Division, and finally, in November 2013, was promoted to the rank of sergeant and day shift patrol supervisor. And whereas on December 5th, 2013, while investigating weather-related crashes near milepost 254.5 on Interstate 25 under blizzard conditions, Sergeant Barron was struck by a passing motorist vehicle. He was thereafter transported to University of New Mexico Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries the following day. And whereas Sergeant Barron loved his community, church, and helping others, he was a Boy Scout of America leader who dedicated his time to mentoring scouts and a charter member of Law Enforcement United, an organization committed to honor the fallen and remember the survivors. He also participated in an annual fundraiser bicycle ride to help send children of fallen law enforcement officers to summer camp. And whereas Sergeant Barron's death serves as a reminder of the commitment and sacrifice the New Mexico law enforcement officers make every day in the name of duty and service to their state. And whereas Sergeant Barron is survived by his wife, Christine Krisha Barron, and son, Coulter Eliash Barron. And whereas Sergeant Barron served his community in an exceptional manner and will always be remembered for his bravery, dedication, and distinguished service, it is therefore fitting that there be a permanent reminder of his contribution to Sandoval County and the state of New Mexico. And whereas the New Mexico State Transportation Commission wishes to create a permanent reminder to honor and recognize Sergeant Barron and to memorialize the sacrifice he made while serving and protecting the residents of Sandoval County and the people of the state of New Mexico. And now, therefore, it is resolved that the New Mexico State Transportation Commission approves the dedication of 1 mile portion of Interstate 25 from milepost 254 to milepost 255 in Sandoval County, and it shall hereafter be known as the Sergeant Robert W. Barron Memorial Corridor. And be it further resolved that the New Mexico State Transportation It's been a long morning. Hereby directs the New Mexico's Department of Transportation to manufacture and install in accordance with the current edition of the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the appropriate signage for the Sergeant Robert W. Barron Memorial Corridor, and thereafter maintain such signage. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be transmitted to Sergeant Barron's wife, adopted by the State Transportation Commission in open meeting on November 17, 2022.
And one thing that I'd like to add, Chairman and Commissioners, is that this will be in memorial for Sergeant Barron, but it'll also be a reminder of New Mexico's slow down and move over law, and that's for law enforcement officials and officials such as ourselves that are assisting motorists on the roadway. And with that, we'd ask for your approval on this action item.
I think we had someone else that wanted to speak, or?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jason Benali. I'm with the Sandoval County Sheriff's Office as a lieutenant, and I did serve as Sergeant Barron's supervisor for several years there. And dedicating this portion of I-25 to the memory of Sergeant Barron and his family would mean a lot for those of us who did serve with Robert and the Sheriff's Office there. It would mean a great deal, and it just would be befitting for that area to be dedicated to not only his service, but those of us that continue to serve Sandoval County. We miss Robert. I miss Robert. He was a good friend of mine also, and you know, every time I drive by that section of roadway, I can't help but think of the day that happened, because I arrived shortly thereafter. He was struck and had to basically notify the rest of my department of what happened to Robert. And for me personally, I just think that it would be, for me, it just would be the final way of thanking him for what he did for not only Sandoval County, state of New Mexico, but the other agency that he's worked for, and his family also. And it'd be just a great way to just immortalize him. Thank you.
Thank you for coming today, and on behalf of the commission, we're sorry for your loss, and we'd like to commend him for all his accomplishments and all his contributions to the public. And on that, is there any questions? Is there any comments? You all had a chance to review it. Secretary, what is your recommendation?
First of all, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I want to thank Justin for keeping this memorial moving through the process, for the presentation, for finalizing it and championing this, and for the family. Thank you for allowing us to honor Mr. Barron this way. We really do appreciate his service and all that he did, and we hope that this does kind of, you know, bring a capstone to the story of his life and all that he did. So certainly, Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval.
You heard the recommendation. What is the pleasure of the commission to approve the dedication of the Sergeant Robert W. Barron Memorial Corridor?
Mr. Chairman, it would be my honor to make that motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Chenoweth.
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If it wouldn't be in a position, I would ask if we could take a photo with family. And the
It would be an honor. We can do that right now.
Thank you.
Before we continue. We're gonna do it right up here?
Sure.
Okay.
You guys get front and center, I'll just stand.
With that, we'll go ahead and continue, and we're gonna go to action 10. Action item for request from the city of Albuquerque, speed cameras on state-owned right-of-way. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and if Jennifer, there she is. All right, Jennifer, you want to come on up? Perfect. Go ahead and take it to these gentlemen here, and then I'll do a little introduction, but, okay, sure. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, in your packet you have a letter dated August 18, 2022 from Mayor Keller, City of Albuquerque, and in this letter he is requesting the Commission's approval to place automated speed enforcement cameras on 3 roads currently under the ownership of the New Mexico Department of Transportation and authority of the Commission. And the three roads that the Commission, that the city is requesting the Commission approve for the use of speed enforcement cameras include Paseo del Norte Boulevard, Tramway Boulevard, and Coors Boulevard within the city limits. Pursuant to Commission policy, you all retain the authority over the use of speed enforcement cameras on any state-owned right-of-way or any right-of-way under your jurisdiction. So essentially, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the action for consideration is that your approval would allow the NMDOT Secretary and myself to enter into a right-of-way use agreement with the City of Albuquerque to place automated speed enforcement cameras on NMDOT right-of-way with the following stipulations. 1, that the cameras be placed on fixed and independent infrastructure on the right-of-way appropriately, and 2, that the agreements include city permission on Coors, Paseo, and Tramway Boulevard. As you may be aware, there is Commission policy prevailing over this request. It's CP 70, red light and speed enforcement cameras. And of course, it indicates that it is the policy of the Transportation Commission that the department shall have the authority to restrict or completely prohibit the use of red light and speed enforcement cameras, including mobile photo enforcement vehicles in the rights-of-way of transportation system under the jurisdiction. The policy further stipulates that the Secretary formulate the directives and procedures for the implementation and administration of this policy. In this case, after the initial request, there was an interaction with the City of Albuquerque where we did ask for them to articulate a number of things, which will be done through a presentation here with Ms. Morrow. The intersection with state statutes, for your information, of course, is that following a legal review by Mr. Baca and his team, we have found no conflict between the city's automated speed enforcement ordinance and New Mexico state statutes, and I've provided you an overview of the relevant statute and some other provisions related to the assessment of fees and the distribution of those fees. We've also requested an opinion from FHWA, and that's included in the 2-pager that I sent you yesterday. It does provision some requirements that will fall on the Department of Transportation, which would be articulated in the right-of-way use agreement between us and the city. Of course, some contingent on how the cameras are going to be funded, whether that would be federal funds or not. Lastly, pursuant to the policy, we certainly, and in the future, to more formalize this process, would likely present a formal plan and strategy for how future requests such as this would be allowed to come to the Secretary, move through that process, which would again include legal review, FHWA opinion, and then allow for Secretary approval to minimize the need for the Commission to approve each of these requests in the future. So having provided all that context, I want to turn it over to Jennifer. She can introduce herself, and then certainly she has a presentation that will go through one, the items that we requested she provide to you all in presentation, and 2, anticipating some of the questions that you might ask. So if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, that she proceed with that presentation?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank
welcome.
you so much. My name is Jennifer Morrow. I am the Deputy Director for Municipal Development for the City of Albuquerque. And as Mr. Serna had stated before, we put together this presentation to go over our current speed enforcement cameras that we have for the City of Albuquerque. Let's see here if I got the clickers right. All right, great. So the ASC program was initiated as part of our Vision Zero. Vision Zero is zero deaths and fatalities and injuries by 2040. And to reach this Vision Zero goal, some of the implementations are safe streets and safe speeds. And to enforce the safe speeds, we started our automated speed enforcement camera program. The City of Albuquerque, we passed an ordinance in October 18th of 2021 in regards to these cameras to monitor speed and travel and enforce the speed limit through these cameras. We also passed a regulation governing the issuance of fines and timelines of community service pursuant to the Albuquerque Automated Speed Enforcement Ordinance, and that was in March 6th of 2022. I'll go into a little bit more detail as we go on that. Currently, we are contracted with Novoa Global. They own and operate all the cameras. They send out all the citations. They receive all payments. We have set up a program to allow people to do in-person payments at the City of Albuquerque. We pay Novoa Global $7,900 per camera per month to do everything to take care of our speed enforcement program. The city on our side, our Albuquerque Police Department does review all the citations prior to sending those out, and then Novoa Global can issue those to the people who are going to receive the citations. Our speed safety cameras, they are self-contained, they're non-intrusive, they get mounted mostly on light poles, and as we get further into this, we might look at doing independent structures, but at this time we're only placing them on light poles. We have one portable at this time. My understanding is that the City of Albuquerque will not allow the NMDOT will not allow the portable, so we'll make sure that any infrastructure on DOT right away will be a fixed camera, not a portable. So the speed, the locations of the cameras, that's been very critical in our approach to this. So our first thing we look at is the data. Where are the most crashes, fatalities, injuries? Where's the most speeding throughout Albuquerque? And we prioritize those locations. Then we have to look for a location to place the cameras. Like I said, we look for a light pole, and we have to make sure we can provide a power source to it. And then we need to look at the camera itself. It needs a certain amount of sight distance to ensure that it does accurately record the speed of the cars going by. So this is the data we have accrued to date. We have 10 cameras in operation, and these are at city locations only that we have sent out citations. We started with a warning in the beginning of our program back in June, and then we switched to a citation and warning combination, and then after Labor Day weekend, we switched to full citations. So you can see our data to date for our citations and warnings issued. The revenue, this was something that Mr. Cerna had brought up previously. The citation is for $100, and we also have a program that is unique to Albuquerque. We allow people to choose to do 4 hours of community service, because the point of this isn't to make money. The point of this is safety and to reduce speeding. So we want to make sure we're not impacting people who are lower income, and that $100 will affect them severely. The funds that we receive, the first thing that happens with these funds is that we cover all of the cost, all of Novoa Global's costs, all of our in-staff costs, everything associated with having this program running comes back from these citations. So you were asking about where our funding comes from to run this program. It is from the citations. We use that. After we've gotten past once we've paid all of our bills to cover this program, we then have the remaining revenue. 50% of that revenue goes back into our Vision Zero program. The other 50% goes to the state. And the state distributes it 10% to the DWI drug court programs and 90% to the New Mexico Finance Authority. Do you guys have any questions on the finance while we're on this page? Okay. Why do we have this program? It's, as I said, this program is to try and reduce speeding. If we give out 0 citations, we are happy. That is what our goal is to bring down speeding. We really want to decrease the fatal crashes and any injuries, and we want to make sure that there's a consistent, unbiased enforcement. And this is what we call our APD task force multiplier. We just do not have the staff to be on all the streets to try and regulate speeding. So this is to support APD and in their endeavor to bring down speeding as well. And some of the proven safety measures and some of the data based on using an ASC camera system, the fixed cameras reduce crashes by 54% is what the data has shown historically, and that's what we're hoping to see, and a 47% injury crash reduction. So here's our map of the cameras. Like I stated, we have 10 active cameras, all located only on city right-of-way. 9 are fixed, 1 is portable. We have installed 1 camera on Coors near Fontaine, and I think you guys may have heard about this. There was a little bit of miscommunication, and the city apologizes. I believe what happened is it got back to the city that DOT was amenable to us doing the automated speed enforcement cameras, and somebody interpreted that as we had permission. Some citations were issued. All of those have been voided and revoked. So at this time, no citations have been issued on any NMDOT property, but we do have the hardware installed on one of the city streetlights located on Coors. And then you can see our proposed locations. We have 6 proposed locations, and some of them, the DOT ones are in yellow, and we're looking at Coors, Paseo del Norte, and Tramway. One of our issues with Tramway is that there are no streetlights. So our Tramway location, we may have to mount a pole, and we'll probably have to make it a solar camera for the power requirements. And that is my presentation. Yes, sir.
Is there any questions, fellow commissioners? Commissioner Ellis?
So if you get to this 0 citation level, how are you going to fund this program?
Well, that'll be something we'll have to discuss when we get there, but maybe it'll be something that we end the program or relocate the cameras to different locations. That would be amazing. You guys, I don't know how much you've driven around to Albuquerque. At this time, speeding is a really huge issue. Every public meeting we have, that's everybody's biggest concern. I think we can relocate cameras as needed to try and make sure that we hit the areas that are problematic. But yeah, if the program ends, we would be thrilled.
And one other question, in the areas where you have it on city or county roads, what have your results been so far? Do you feel like have you made an impact on slowing down the speed limits? Have you had some success in using that data in helping find other criminals or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so our first camera that went up on Gibson, we have seen results. The speeds that the cameras are showing is showing results that the speeding is coming down. We've only been doing this for a couple months, so our data is limited at this time. We're trying to wait for like a full year of data to try to make sure that we have a full understanding before we completely commit to something. But yeah, initial results are showing, are pretty much in line with that national data in regards to automated speed enforcement.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Chenoweth.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. That was very informative. You mentioned that there is a process to review every citation before
Yes.
it goes out. How does that work?
Basically, they look at it and verify the license plate and the speed and the city of Albuquerque, we have someone from APD that looks at the photos that go out with the license plate and verifies that the accuracy of the license plate in the system and the speed. We did have one error, and this was not quite a review error, and this is part of our growing pains, and it happened to be the camera on Coors when we started, was they had programmed the camera at 35 miles an hour, not 45 miles an hour. To date, that's been our biggest error with starting this new program. So while we're going to learn from that and try and do better, we really feel like so far with this program in its infancy that our learning curve's been pretty good and our errors have been pretty low. And if we do find that there are errors, there isn't an appeal process that they can do for that. And also, like I said, with this one where we realized that the camera was calibrated incorrectly for the wrong speed limit, we just voided all those tickets. So that's part of our learning process too. We've learned that we have a pretty good system to be able to void it because most people pay online. So when if someone went to pay that ticket online, it would show up and it would say, due to a problem with our calibration system, this ticket's been voided, and that they wouldn't be able to pay it.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I also wanted to say, I think I really appreciate the fact that there's a way to pay it off without having to become indebted in order to pay off that citation, to have the community service pieces commendable. Thank you.
And that's
having that
actually a
option.
pretty impressive effort if you realize what it takes for us to coordinate with like the food bank or with the animal welfare.
Because it could really be a setback for people
Yes.
that aren't able to pay for that and
It's
just
great.
send them into a downward spiral. So I know that that's not the intention, but I appreciate that there's another option.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, and
Commissioner Taylor.
so it's a flat fee regardless of the magnitude of the speeding?
Yes, and that's by the statute. That's a state statute that requires that. So we are following, I had it on a little asterisk somewhere, but I can get you guys that information if you need.
So when a citation is issued, does it indicate how fast you were over?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
That's all.
I have a question. Number one is, the original request that I spoke to the mayor about and to Chief of Staff Raed, and I guess this has nothing to do with that, that'll come later, but I just wanna, is that the original thing was to have a tracker, and so that it could read license plates for stolen vehicles. And so, does this include that part, or not?
You know, I have not heard that. I've only been with the city a few months, so I'm
Okay. And,
learning as
we
well,
can
but I can get back to you on that
Get back
question.
to us on that. So,
Yeah.
so right now, so the request today before us is just for the speed cameras?
Yes, that is
Okay.
it.
And then before I proceed, I just want to make sure with our council, you're fine, you've reviewed everything and you're good to go on it?
We've reviewed it, Chairman, and we're good with it.
And then I'd like to ask FHWA if their thoughts or if they have any comments.
I do, thank you for the opportunity, Chairman. Commissioner Chenoweth brought up a good question that is something that we're also very interested in. And thank you for the presentation. It answered a lot of the questions that we were having. And it deals with equity, right? And looking at, what was some of your criteria for choosing the locations? Was it crash locations? You know, can you give us a little bit of context on that?
Can you give me my slideshow back? Thank you, guys. Let me flip back to that slide where we talked about, where was that? Here we go. Here's our camera location determination. So our first look at the location was based on data at intersections and along stretches. So we looked at crash and speeding data, the injury and fatality data, and the vulnerability index, which is essentially looking at pedestrian and bikes as well. And then, like I said, our next thing was feasibility of mounting the camera and making sure we had line of sight. So after that, we shifted things around a little bit to make sure that we had the camera in the right location, that it could actually get good, reliable data.
Okay. And thank you for that, that it is, we love that it's a data-driven approach. Something that we do watch for is equity. You know, are these going to be located only in areas with disproportionate impacts on low income, minority neighborhoods? As the Commissioner mentioned, you know, $100 may not be a lot for some, but it's rent, it's part of rent for some people.
Yes.
But we're very conscientious about that, so, you know, maybe in the future we'd like to see what, if there's any data to that aspect, you know, maybe in 3 years or so, some metrics that we can look at, but.
And also, we are not placing any of these cameras in residential neighborhoods. We are only placing these on arterials and collectors. So and mostly arterials at this time. I don't even know if we'll go down to collectors, but they are on the radar if we need to.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? My last one is, and I know it's a given, but I'm gonna ask it anyway, is that when the sites are chosen, and I think they've already been, that our team reviews them to make sure they meet all the standards and everything in case somebody hits them, that they meet all the safety requirements and that they're in places where, because once they get on our road, then there's liability.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that they're approved and that every area that they're in, that they meet all the, like on the breakaway signs and all that stuff, so they meet all the safety standards.
And Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we can address that in the individual right-of-way use agreement.
Okay. So, any other questions? With that, Mr. Secretary, what is your recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I was actually going to make a point about what you just mentioned, not only the liability, but in the agreement, we would address other issues like assigned responsibilities related to FOIA requests, IPRA requests, location installation. We also have considerations for Buy America requirements, and so it won't be a lot of red tape, but it'll be some to be sure that we're complying with the statutes and the federal requirements on the federal roads. But again, things we can address in the agreement. So, Mr. Chairman, with that, I recommend approval of the request.
The approval of the request with pending or anything?
Let me, I can go ahead and read it here, is approval to allow the NMDOT Secretary to enter into a right-of-way use agreement with the City of Albuquerque to place automated speed enforcement cameras on NMDOT right-of-way, stipulating that those cameras be placed on fixed and independent infrastructure and be allowed only on Coors, Paseo, and Tramway Boulevard as approved through the right-of-way use agreement.
You heard that, and I'm not going to repeat it. So with that, what is the pleasure of this commission?
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Chenoweth. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
I have a second from Commissioner Sandoval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And if you could get back on those license plate readers, because I guess this commission, like everyone around the state, wants to do whatever they can to deter crime.
Yeah.
And crime is becoming a big thing nationwide. And if we can do our part, then we want to help. So you've gotten the approval.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. So do we want to break now, or do you want to go to District 1? Go to District 1? Okay, District 1 update. I'm going to call up Trent, and then I think you're going to call up Gene. Okay, welcome.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, Secretary, I appreciate the opportunity to come before you as presenting on behalf of District 1. We had started this before my transition up to the general office, and put me on camera. Miguel forgot my name several times, but it was a lot easier than it probably should have been.
What did he call you instead of Trent?
What did he call me?
Did he call you by another name? No.
It was a lot of redos and a lot of outtakes, and I told Marissa my first thing I'm going to do as Deputy Secretary is get rid of cameras, because you put those on me and I forget my name. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to do the video first. We have a lot of District 1 employees here. I'd like you all to meet them by name when we get to the end of the presentation. I'll introduce my staff and then we'll go around the room, but I'd like to watch the video first. That way I don't duplicate efforts.
Good morning, Chairman Adams, Commissioners, Secretary, DOT staff, and distinguished guests. I'd like to welcome you to District 1 here in Silver City, and thank you for coming down for our Transportation Commission meeting. I'd also like to thank Mayor Ladner and the town of Silver City for hosting us, and we appreciate the time that we've got in your community. Here in District 1, we have some excellent staff. I'd like to take this opportunity to share with you the personnel in our office that support our staff. Gene Polk is the Assistant District Engineer for Maintenance, currently Acting District Engineer for the District 1. Adrian Apodaca is our Business Manager. Harold Love is Assistant District Engineer for Engineering Support. Aaron Chavarria is Assistant District Engineer for Construction. And our District Administrative Assistant is Lugarda Lulu Lopez. District 1 encompasses the southwest part of the state, 7 counties, 2 interstates to include all of I-10, 4 U.S. routes, 84 New Mexico routes for a total of 6,405 lane miles. We are the only district that includes an international boundary with Mexico, so we incorporate 3 international border crossings, Antelope Wells, Columbus, and Santa Teresa, 12 rest areas, 2 RPOs, 2 MPOs, and 1 tribe with the Alamo Navajo Reservation. At our district, we incorporate 297 full-time employees. You can see a breakdown there. Our operating budget is $20.5 million. You'll see there our current construction contract is $221 million. This includes all contracts that are currently under operation, whether it be in construction or in the closeout phase. Contract maintenance, $6.2 million. Field supplies, $5.6 million. Striping and signing, $1.3, which is important for our district, especially because we have problems with our signs fading in the sunlight and turning black. So this portion, although not high, is extremely important for our district. Rest area improvements, $60,000. Rest area maintenance, $3 million. Our business support section is important for the district operations. In all reality, nothing gets done out in the field without the support of these folks. Our purchasing and accounting section, buildings and grounds, our reception and dispatch, risk management, our shop, and our HR. Melissa Torres is our district administrator. Tim Yeager is our safety and risk management supervisor. Brenda Leyva is our HR supervisor. Jeff Turner is in charge of buildings and grounds. And Rudy Tafoya is our supervisor in charge of the shop. Engineering support. These folks provide all of our technical support for our field folks. They include our design, technical support, survey, traffic operations, permits, signing, striping. So not only are these folks supporting our field employees, they are also in direct contact with our external customers. Anybody who's doing development, permitting, utilities, all runs through our engineering support section, and Harold and his group do an excellent job ensuring all of that communication and coordination takes place. I wanted to talk a little bit about our Transportation Project Fund. Previously, we were only able to provide just a small amount of money to our local governments. Through the Transportation Project Fund, you can see here that we're able to provide just shy of $30 million for 22 projects and 16 total entities. On the left, you'll see in Santa Clara a 1-lane bridge that frequently topped and was one of the critical exits out of the community to US 180. That bridge was replaced with TPF funding. On the bottom, you'll see the new bridge and the mayor at our ribbon cutting ceremony. I can't stress enough the importance of these projects to improve the infrastructure for local communities that otherwise would never get done. In speaking with the mayor, they are just extremely pleased with this work and appreciate the coordination that we have with our elected officials and the district completing these projects. This spreadsheet here gives a total of all of those. On the far right-hand side, you can kind of see a status of each one of those. We'll continue to work with them and provide updates as we have them. But again, just an excellent boost for our local communities through this TPF funding. I wanted to touch briefly on our House Bill 2 money. On the left-hand side, you can see from 2019 through 2020, all of our work has been completed. The rest area improvements that you'll see on the laws of 2020 shows ongoing, but that actually has been completed, so all of those projects are finished. In the bottom left-hand, laws of 2021, we've started performing a lot of that work. We're doing some substantial study improvements for US 60 and Socorro. The San Antonio interchange on I-25 is extremely outdated and needs upgrades to XL-decel lanes to improve the safety for anybody traveling from San Antonio north to Socorro. So we're starting a study in that area. You'll see some pavement preservation, and then 213-404, which I'll touch on a little bit later, is a very critical corridor for the district, given its safety issues and transporting freight around El Paso on the east side of El Paso itself. On the top right-hand side, you'll see our laws of 2022 projects. The top one is our border connector highway between New Mexico 136 and New Mexico 273. This will be a new roadway, basically from Santa Teresa over to Sunland Park and into El Paso and I-10. We currently have $9 million of House Bill 2 money, and then the department applied for and received a $45 million infra grant for a total of $54 million. That project is currently in the study phase, being led by Border Authority, who is also responsible for the design. The district is working on an MOA with Border Authority so that we become the primary stakeholder, since we will be the constructor of the project and owner of the roadway when we're finished. But again, we're in the early phases of the study and plan on beginning construction in the next few years. The next project is the US 180 corridor between Hurley and Deming. This project is going to be broken up into phases based on funding. We received $29 million from House Bill 2 and plan on, in October of '23, letting a project that will go from Hurley to the railroad tracks, which is phase 1 and 2. A few of the emergency activities that the district supported, although it doesn't seem like much, $25,000 related to fire support, and in no way is comparative to what was taking place up north. We did have a large fire, the Black Fire, in June of 2022. Because it was off the roadway, the district only provided a little bit of traffic control. We did some brush removal from some local communities on county facilities and within the Forest Service to ensure the structures were protected. But the department was active with traffic control and support during that entire fire. Although monetarily it wasn't much, we were involved in the community and we're happy to be out there to help. The other one that was substantial and resulted in big impacts to several communities, to include Cliff and Silver City. We had substantial flooding on US 180, and what happened is the water went around the abutments at this bridge. You can see it ultimately washed out the approaches and departures on both sides of the bridge. This severed all ties between Cliff and Silver City, and the detour was about 220 miles. District 1 had employees in the area. We had our heavy maintenance crew, our chip seal crew, and then the 2 patrols in Silver City and Cliff came together, and in 3 days we were able to completely repair this roadway, backfilling, and then our bridge engineer Earl Franks made some arrangements with our foam injection crew, and then Leo Montoya worked with a paving crew, and we were able to foam inject around the backfill, pave the project out. The roadway was open in 3 days, and in 5 days we had everything completely back to where it was before. Currently, we're still working on erosion control underneath and erosion diversion to ensure it goes under the bridge and not around, but everything within the roadway itself is completely repaired and open to the public. I wanted to talk a little bit about our construction staff. As I mentioned, these folks are managing $220 million worth of work. It's only 4 construction project offices. You'll see right now they're in Anthony, Las Cruces, Deming, and Socorro. The Deming project office also incorporates and covers the Silver City and Lordsburg area, and then Socorro comes down to TRC, so they have some big areas that they cover. The construction section also incorporates our construction audit and our labs. Our entire construction program is managed with about 50 employees, 34 inspectors, so we have a relatively small construction team who do a lot of work. I appreciate what they've done. I've seen a lot of improvements related to project closeouts, reduction in the number of audit findings. They just do an excellent job for us managing a very large program. I wanted to touch a little bit on some of the projects that we have coming up. We've got the I-25 business loop in TRC, the roundabouts that we're doing. We're currently in the project contract review phase. It's a $14.9 million project, putting 3 roundabouts in TRC that will improve access not only into Elephant Butte and the local businesses, but also to Elephant Butte and the state park there. The New Mexico 404 4-lane. This is a critical corridor for the district. In the bottom right-hand corner of this slide, you'll see that we have a picture. That is the 404 corridor. It is a main thoroughfare from the east side of El Paso up to Chaparral, and then over the Anthony Gap back to I-10. This is important because of the construction within El Paso. It's a bypass through downtown El Paso, but with a 2-lane facility and the freight trucks that are using it, it becomes very congested, and the local commuters from Chaparral, for instance, who are headed to Las Cruces, become impatient trying to pass those trucks. It is our most dangerous corridor in the entire district. We have accidents very frequently and fatalities very often. So we are designing a project that will 4-lane and positively separate that roadway with concrete wall barrier to ensure it's safe and efficient for the freight traffic itself that will be bypassing El Paso. It's also important because TxDOT is constructing Borderland Express. The plan is to take all of the freight traffic off of I-10, bypass downtown El Paso, run north around the east side, and then tie into New Mexico 213 and 404. So ultimately, the traffic that we're seeing on this roadway will increase tremendously. The district and the department are substantially further along in our development and construction than TxDOT, so we will be ready when they get ready to tie in to our corridor. And then the last one I wanted to touch on is the I-25 milepost 107 Nogales Canyon. This is a study at this point. On the right-hand side, you'll see a picture of what Nogales Canyon looks like right now. It is a fracture critical bridge similar to one in Minneapolis that collapsed several years ago. We monitor it regularly, but it is an outdated bridge. So we're in the process of studying that and designing a new bridge that will replace those structures. And you'll see there that the study's coming in at about $2 million. Our current ongoing projects, we have a lot of pavement preservation. I-25, the 14 to the 24, I-10, which is in the Deming area from the 74 to the 82. You'll see there, we're currently under construction on the phase 1 for the 404 corridor, which is the I-10 interchange replacement. We've set girders in the last couple of days, working on deck placement, but we should be finished with that project by the end of the year before the 404 widening begins itself. But that's an $18.5 million project. Bridge preservation, several different locations along I-25 and New Mexico 140. We're also replacing a very outdated bridge at Williamsburg. This is the south exit as you get into the TRC Williamsburg area. We just issued contract on that one, so we plan to start either late 2022 or early 2023. That's a $37 million project. I wanted to talk a little bit about the efforts that District 1 is making to contribute to our litter pickup. The picture that you see here is a group in Silver City area. Representative Terrazas is actually in the middle holding that bag of trash. This community has been extremely active ensuring that we're picking up trash. So you'll see here that just this year alone, through our contract that's being provided with House Bill 2 money, we've picked up 43,000 pounds of trash. District staff, we've had several events where the district personnel goes out, some after hours, some on weekends. But our district employees alone have picked up 13,550 pounds. Our patrols are also spending 1 day a week doing nothing but litter pickup, and that's part of that 13,550 pounds. Our community Taos No Mas, again, this is part of the program that Silver City's done. We've done some in Luna County and Deming. That's 7,800 pounds. And you'll see in 2022 alone, we've picked up 65,000 pounds of trash. I can't stress enough the appreciation I have, especially for this community here in Silver City and Grant County, the support of Representative Terrazas getting people out to ensure that they're involved in this activity. It's not just a DOT initiative, it is a community effort. And I can't thank this community especially enough for being involved in that. The next part I wanted to discuss is our employee recognition. We haven't had an opportunity to share the successes of our district with you in several months. Actually, it's been a little over a year since we were in Las Cruces. And so we've had a lot of successes great projects, great people recognized in our district since the last time we were in front of you. Again, this is one of my favorite things to do, and I'm just extremely proud of the successes that our district employees have had over the last 16 or 18 months since we came before you. I wanted to spend a little bit of time focusing on some of the project recognition that the district has received from our 2021 Asphalt Pavement Association. Our chip seal crew received an award on New Mexico 15 from milepost 30 to 44. You can see there in the slide, they're applying the chips. They always do a great job for us, but I appreciate that APA&M recognize them for their hard work and the quality of work that they did on this section of roadway. And then our Las Cruces I-25 University project received similar recognition related to the pavement with all the tie-ins that we had in that area. It was a difficult paving job, but our contractor did a great job paving, and so we received recognition for them for that project as well. This slide illustrates some of the other recognitions that the department received. You'll see in the top left, we frequently coordinate with Spaceport America. They were grateful enough to send us a plaque recognizing our partnership with them for the first human flight on July 11th, 2021. We worked with them to close the road, ensuring people couldn't get in. You know, everybody was safe during the launch, but we have a great partnership with Spaceport America. And as I indicated earlier, we're in the process of a road transfer with the counties to take over Spaceport Road to ensure we can provide more support for them as they move forward with their initiatives at Spaceport America. In the top middle, you'll see a plaque that we received from the Silver Consolidated District in recognition for the work that we did on the bridge on US 180 between Silver and Cliff. They invited us to one of their board meetings, hosted us to a wonderful meal, but it was very appreciative that they came out. They actually provided food to our employees as we were out there working on the project itself. I appreciate the fact that they recognized our employees for the hard work they did for the community. On the right hand, you'll see our Envision Award for the I-25 University Interchange. The DOT partnered with Molson Corbin, and that is the first Envision Award ever given to the state of New Mexico. So I appreciate the partnership with Molson Corbin and our contractor on that project. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see the final product. When we were in Las Cruces at the Farm and Ranch Museum, we did the actual dedication for Officer Darian Jarrett. And you'll see here the final product. When they did the actual dedication, our employees were out there with our trucks and state police convoy. And so this is just a picture of the final sign as it was in place. I can't stress enough the importance of our maintenance folks. These guys are available all the time. They're responsive. Our 2021 Best Patrol of the Year is Anthony. They were actually the statewide winner in 2021. There are a lot of different things that this patrol has to deal with. They have I-10, they've got the sanitary support of entry, they tie into the Texas state line, but they also have a lot of secondary routes that are small farm roads, 2 lanes, no shoulders, drainage issues. You know, this patrol really has everything, urban, rural, very well deserved. If you go out to the patrol, it's very clean. They take great pride in their facilities, although it's old. Just can't say enough about the great things that this patrol has done, given the many different ways that they're pulled. So our 2021 best project was the bolt replacement and pin replacement on our Nogales Canyon Bridge that I talked about earlier. This group here includes our bridge inspection crew and our bridge repair crew, but ultimately what we had to do is remove the pins and replace them to ensure that structure remains stable while we go through the design and replacement of that bridge. Very technical, a lot of challenges associated with this, including the height of the bridge, accessing it from the roadway up top. Earl Franks, our bridge engineer, was extremely important when it came to the technical aspect of figuring out what to do to replace those pins. Just an excellent project. Again, an example of something that we do that's out of the ordinary, but extremely important to the stability of our infrastructure. In 2021, we had several best practices. In the top left-hand corner, you'll see our 2021, one of our best practices is Clint Garza. He developed an applicator for the Lubrasil for our salt spreaders. Previously, it was difficult to use just a hand pump sprayer to lubricate our salt spreaders. Ultimately, he came up with a $10 fix, basically where you can insert the hose directly into the storage device and spray the salt spreaders down. saves a lot of time, is more efficient, and actually is substantially cheaper than the hand pump sprayers that tend to clog and become ruined with the Lubrisil. Our Las Cruces Patrol also received a recognition for our box blade cleaning system. In our district, we've become extremely reliant on our box blade for blade patching. It's a smoother application when we're putting blade patches down. The problem is afterwards, getting those clean to ensure it's ready for the next time takes a lot of time and effort and is honestly a little bit inefficient. This group came up with a cleaning system that attaches to the box blade, cleans it very well, and is extremely quick, saving us a lot of time. So I appreciate that they were able to do that so that they can focus on the other things that take up a lot of their time within the Las Cruces area. And Earl Franks and Fabio Casillas received a best practice for a remote-controlled car with a camera attached to it. This allows them to inspect smaller structures such as culverts that ultimately employees can't get into or have a hard time getting into. Initially, Fabio stole his son's remote-controlled car, attached a camera to it. Since then, we've purchased and allowed him to use our items so that it's a little bit more efficient. But it's a very creative way to inspect our structures without putting our employees in harm's way climbing into small spaces. Again, not only is it an efficiency issue, but it also takes care of some safety concerns that we have when working in the smaller structures. Our 2021 Employee of the Year is Gerardo Jerry Torres. He's our survey crew supervisor in one of our support groups within our technical support section. For 2021, I personally overwhelmed Jerry with several different requests. We were in the process of trying to do a road exchange on Spaceport Road. We're in the process of doing a road exchange in Socorro. On top of that, his group is supporting the South Region design with data collection. He's also performing right-of-way surveys for our patrols, and at no point did he ever complain or say he couldn't get it done. I just can't stress enough the support that he provides for the district and the things that he did for me specifically as I was trying to address concerns and issues.
It's kind of a reminder that, you know, you are being noticed. And there's pros and cons to that, right? If they notice you do something good, or, you know, you got to be on your toes because you're just as easily going to make a mistake, right? You know, well, one mistake is our mistake. You know, one success is our success.
Our 2021 Team of the Year is our Bridge Inspection Crew. This group is relatively small, but they're responsible for inspecting all of our structures within the district. They are also responsible for emergency response if a structure is hit, if we have erosion problems. They are responsible for going out and ensuring the structure is stable, implementing any kind of design or technical work associated with repairs. They are available 24/7, just a great group of guys who provide a significant activity for the department when it comes to their inspections. It's also a federal requirement, but they understand their job well, and they've done a great job coming together and getting all of those inspections completed.
I mean, we have a hard-working crew. We get along well. We do what we're supposed to do. We follow the specs that are set forth, and we have a good leadership with Earl as our engineer. He leads us in the right direction and makes sure we have what we need to do our job properly. So,
our 2021 Pavement Smoothness Award is for our Deming Construction Crew. They were partners with Mountain States Construction for a pavement preservation on I-10 from the 92 to the 116. So this is a section of roadway between Deming and Las Cruces, heavily traveled by trucks, but they did a great job with this pavement preservation, and they were our 2021 Pavement Smoothness Award winners.
Of course, it makes me as the PM, makes me feel good that I have guys, you know, that take pride in their work. It shows that they did their part, you know, they did their job, and to win an award like that, you know, it does boost up their morale, you know, and it just keeps rolling. They want to get another one and another one, so it's good. Yeah, it's good.
Thank you, Chairman Adams, Commissioner, and Secretary Cerna again for coming down to District 1. Thank you, Mayor Ladner, for hosting us. I just want to take some time to thank you for giving me the opportunity to step up as Deputy Secretary. It's an opportunity that I hope I can share and bring some of the things that District 1 has. They are a great group of people, as you can see from the presentation. They're creative, they're dedicated, they're efficient, and most importantly, they care about one another. So with that, I just again appreciate everything that you've done for District 1 and for me personally, and I look forward to working with you in this new capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Trent.
So, Mr. Chair, I realize after that presentation, I am very well spoken. It did not go that smooth, so I compliment Miguel.
For the people that aren't aware, the best project that they compete for every year, it's a project that's done by our forces, by DOT forces. There might not be enough budget to go out and go to get it done by a contractor, so they go and they get it done, they submit it. And on the best practices, that is all innovation. You know, I was blessed when I was out in the field, and my guys, when they went out there, they'd come back, and if we didn't have budget, if we didn't have resource, they went out there and they figured how to get it done, get the job done, and they would come up with ideas that, and the biggest part of that, and the reason I bring it up is because you have to have a passion to do it. There's people that will sit around all day and say, I'm not going to get to do that, I'm not going to do that, if they don't give us the resource, I'm not going to go out and do it. I've never seen that. Our people do whatever it takes to get the job done. And so they're all, I want to commend them all. And when we go on break, if it's possible, I'd like to get as many employees as we can, get them behind that sign over there, NMDOT to the rescue. And I want to submit that so we can go on the Que Pasa, because that's a true meaning right there. So I always say DOT true. And that's what we all do. So if we can get as many on a break, get a picture and submit it to the Que Pasa and send it out to the state of New Mexico that it's NMDOT to the rescue.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if we have enough time or if you'll allow, we do have a lot of District 1 employees here today. I'd like to at least introduce staff. I don't know if we've got time to.
You know what? This commission, that's what we're here for. And so if you want to get them all to stand up and give their names, hey, let me put my seat down.
So maybe what I'll do, Commissioner, or Mr. Chair, is I'll introduce District 1 staff first, and then I'll just start on one side and we'll just go around if that will work.
That's fine.
So first, I would like to thank Gene for stepping up with me moving up to Santa Fe. He's done an excellent job filling the role as interim district engineer. Just hasn't missed a beat. Called me a few times early on, but he's running the district. It's a tough task, but he's done a really good job stepping into that role.
You told me now that you left, everything's running smoothly.
I wouldn't doubt it. Our assistant district engineer for engineering support is Harold Love. There's Harold. Assistant district engineer for construction is Aaron Chavarria. Our business manager is Adrian Apodaca.
I worked with Adrian.
Our public information officer is Amy Evans. And then the one who really runs the show is the district administrative assistant, Lulu Lopez. Don't forget maintenance. Leo, so Leo, I didn't get that far yet. So Leo has stepped up into the maintenance engineer role since Gene moved up. He's done a really good job, but I've heard he's not doing as good a job as Gene either, so. With that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to just go around the room and just quickly, guys, if you would just say your name and which section you work in, and we'll just start up at the front here and go around the room. start over here. That's Armando.
Well, on the days that you're feeling nobody cares and nobody gives a darn, I want you to know that you're greatly appreciated. And we care about each, and that's why we had you come. If you go to our commission meetings now, you see more and more of the employees. And it's because we want to personally thank you. And for the ones that couldn't be here, well, we send our thanks to them too. But always remember this, I'll leave you with this. If there wasn't you, there wouldn't be a rescue. So thank you. And the next time we come, and it might be, Commissioner will choose the next location. Like, where was our next location? Truth or Consequences, then we'll tell the same employees that. But thank you so very much, and thank you for being here. And did you have anything else, Trent?
Mr. Chair, I think Gene would like to come up and just say a few quick words, and then if you wouldn't mind, I don't know if we can take the break now.
Yeah, I'll take.
Obviously, District 1 is shut down today because they're all here, but if we could get pictures, we'll.
Yeah, I guess that's, my phone's been ringing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commission. First, I want to thank Trent and the Secretary for putting your trust and confidence in me to take over for the, in Trent's absence. One of the things that Trent didn't mention in his presentation, we've been together as a staff under Trent as the DE for over 10 years. So that continuity and all that is what really lends itself well to us moving forward and doing well and taking care of business. One thing that Trent has not mentioned that he should be thankful for, we had him scheduled for an accident at the beginning of the year, just so we could have some upward mobility within the district. So Mr. Secretary, thank you for saving his tail there.
Yeah, we got him out of your way, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commission, we appreciate you.
Well, we appreciate you, and he couldn't have chosen anybody better. I worked with you, and I know you're very capable, and I look forward to that. And with that, I'm gonna send everybody on a 5-minute break. 5 minutes, finish off the burritos.
But we're doing the picture. That's what Trent wanted to do, the picture.
Oh, Trent, did you wanna do a picture? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, man, and then you're gonna sit, did you drive in, fly in? Yeah, and then you got another 5, 6.
It's going quick.
Yeah. I'm glad you were prepared.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run to the restroom.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we
I was gonna
Wherever-
get my butt out
wherever-
and go
wherever we
to
can
Red
get 'em
River
all in.
tomorrow, but I rescheduled that to Monday because then in the afternoon I gotta come back to Albuquerque. It's gonna be a rough Friday tomorrow too.
Long drive to Farmington, but it's really a pretty drive.
Yeah. you're going up along the west side, yeah, that's nice. I haven't done that before.
Just go take a picture over there before. Oh, wait till they.
I haven't been that route. I think I came down one time.
Go take a picture.
Let's go. got my report down to 6 pages, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Good job.
Jokes, I had jokes all morning long. You gotta know him, he's freaking awesome. I'll probably tell you yes. I'm thinking yes. Lauren says thank you. Lauren's calling. Yeah, he's
Taylor's $20 behind, so
he's running for Commissioner of the Year.
we can have we're gonna go ahead and continue with the meeting so I can have everybody, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and continue with, Secretary report, Secretary Serna.
Setting me up like George Bush, a funny joke before I talk, I'll be laughing at it. No. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I begin too, I just want to echo your note of appreciation for Mr. Tony Trujillo, who did host last night's reception for commission staff and community leaders. And in a little bit, you'll hear why I wasn't able to make it, but I do appreciate the hospitality. On that note, yesterday, members of the commission, I had the pleasure of meeting with Secretary Buttigieg, who came to New Mexico on a tour that focused on tribal infrastructure investments and driver safety program funding from USDOT. And so that gathering took place yesterday afternoon at SIPI. And I want to send a shout out especially to Jeff Varela and the traffic safety team for coordinating the on-site demonstrations and awareness, which was essentially that run of show where the secretary was made aware of various programs ranging from Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, how to properly install car seats, and of course what our local law enforcement and tribal police are doing to provide awareness to middle school, high school students on the cons to distracted driving behaviors. I also want to send a shout out to Ron Shativa, our tribal liaison, for coordinating the meeting which took place after SIPI with the tribal leaders and Secretary Buttigieg. And so both Jeff and Ron did a phenomenal job working with the Secretary's office, Federal Highway, and others to ensure that yesterday's event was successful. After my meeting with the Secretary, I had a lunch meeting with the SIPI president, who was very eager to formalize a partnership with DOT and SIPI for the purposes of preparing their engineers for work in the field and in the work that we do. So I'm hopeful that that'll materialize. One of the things that I want to share with you all is that we've established some committees over at the department that are going to focus on three primary areas that I've talked with you before that I identified as part of my transition, the first of which is a retention work committee. And this group is going to work on baseline separation data and creative measures that incentivize retention, including pathways for hard-to-fill positions and trainings for both employees and mid-level managers and on up. So this group will work diligently to identify how we can be really competitive as an employer and retain our workers, especially in those hard-to-fill, hard-to-retain positions. The second group is a space utilization committee. Believe it or not, the Department of Transportation, with its footprint, is getting a little tight for space. And so we have a committee that's working in particular with all of the districts in the general office to establish a clean blueprint of all of the space and square footage that we have. And the long-term goal there, of course, is not only planning for our future growth, but working kind of in overlap with retention and employee engagement is how might we be able to offer programs like alternative work locations for our employees who do commute that can work successfully in other locations where the Department of Transportation has offices. And so that committee is up and running, and as you may be aware, in a lot of our offices, there's been a lot of renovation work done to kind of accommodate the growth over time. So they have a chore in front of them to kind of transform the official footprint that we have and blueprints for our departments to kind of include the new space that we have. And then lastly, the third committee is the engagement committee, which is going to focus on employee morale and networking, and of course, leverage opportunities for employees to reconnect to the mission of the agency, and essentially reintroduce a number of programs and activities, and I think traditions, I'll call them, that the agency practiced before, we kind of went remote work as a result of the pandemic. So I believe these groups have already been working very hard on the goals that I've asked for them to achieve. And then, of course, they'll all come together. And the big picture is how do we push the envelope to become a very good, a very attractive, and a very aggressive employer in the state of New Mexico. So I look forward to doing that. And one of the benefits that we have, as you learned from the group that was here earlier with D1, is we have really good opportunity to use districts as incubators for some of these things. You may not know that the size of our districts range from 270 employees to 350, which rivals the size of a lot of state agencies. So you can consider a district like an agency, and we can work on some of these things as pilots. I always like to remind everyone that we remain above $2 billion in active contracts, and share that we're starting to see, as was shared in other meetings, a leveling off in our bids versus engineer estimates. And that's not to say that projects are as affordable as they were 2 years ago, but we're now better at predicting those costs, and we're looking forward to how provisions like Buy America requirements will impact our upcoming lettings, but we'll keep you posted. As you can imagine, given the season, snowplow, pushing snow is one of the big priorities for the agencies. For sure up north, we've already received a couple of snowfalls that called for the crews to get out. I want to send a shout out to Rick Padilla, who worked on increasing the snow removal pay increment from 60 cents to $1 statewide. So now those that are getting behind the wheel to move snow are receiving 40 cents more on the hour for doing that work. Mr. Chairman, as you know, the exit conference for the agency took place on November 10th, which means that it will be submitted to the state auditor on time. Unfortunately, and I'm saying this, unfortunately, we're not able to discuss the audit publicly until it's released by the state auditor's office, but suffice it to say that we're very, very excited to release the audit and how well we're doing, and of course, we'll present that to the commission. So I do want to send a note of appreciation out to Mallory and all of her team for the work that they did in getting that done timely, but more importantly, for the work they do across the fiscal year to ensure that it's a great looking audit. Yeah, that's good stuff. You know, we have a small net position of $5.2 billion. It's not a lot of work, yeah, but it's probably why a lot of people refer to DOT as like a fourth branch of government. I mean, when you think of a $6-7 billion budget for the state of New Mexico, I mean, our net position rivals that. So it's a lot of work.
I just wanted to make a quick comment.
Yeah, please.
I was able to sit in on that audit, and also sitting in on that audit was our auditor, Brian Colon. And so I always do this, and I was going to wait till she came up, but I'm just going to go ahead and give you and your team, Mallory, a big shout out, because I know your team is moving, and they never stop. And hopefully when we get the results, whether we do or don't, I just want to say thank you, because I know you guys are always hard at it, so thank you.
One of the things that we've talked about earlier on that's now getting out the door is we're getting over $5 million of EV charging station agreements out to contractors that are going to be responsible for building out 32 stations of EV level 3 charging stations across the state. So Jerry, thanks for that, the work that you're doing. But we're hopeful that we'll see those stations as early as the end of the year, but certainly as the new year begins, we'll start building out our rural New Mexico communities between now and November of next year. But in parallel to that, we'll be leveraging our NEVI funding to start the build-outs on the interstates 10, 25, and 40. And so I expect that, in 10 months from now, we're going to have a map that we can show you all that puts us in a very competitive place for EV activity in both rural and our interstate corridors. Of course, as you can imagine, we're working with the governor's office to prepare the legislative agenda for the upcoming session, and that of course includes, our list to SANA on the funding that we want for our STIP projects and maintenance priorities. In fact, we had kind of a pre-LFC hearing meeting with LFC personnel, and I think the consensus was among the group that we're going to swing to the fence. And, that initial ask pointed to nearly $500 million of funding above our highest funded year in recent history. And so I think it's a testament to how quickly this agency can put money out into our infrastructure across the state. So we're hopeful that as these priorities get finalized and in concurrence with the governor's office, we'll share them with you and we'll appreciate your support in discussing them and supporting them among legislators within your districts. FYI, the LFC hearing date, which will be our final budget hearing for the agency, will be on the week of December 12th, and we'll keep you posted should you wish to kind of chime in or tune in or be there. And then lastly, just bringing back to the top of the priority list, our fire flood recovery efforts. The state, through NMDOT, just through NMDOT in the last 7 weeks, has put out more than $5 million of flood and fire debris removal in Moran San Miguel County. And now we're ramping up on the work that we're doing there, which will now include full private property debris removal for residents. And so we're going to be providing backup support for the Army Corps of Engineer contractors in those counties, probably, hopefully beginning today. We had a lot of work to do leading to that ability. I also want to thank John Romero, who's here, and the work that he's done to lead the contract management for that project. He was also down here because we're going to be doing some work on some acequias here in Grant County that were affected by the floods. And we also were able to do work outside of the burn scar in Rio Arriba County, where we did also help facilitate a contract between Homeland Security and contractors for debris removal in community acequias. And so the governor's work on issuing those executive orders to help counties both within the burn scar and outside of the burn scar is giving us opportunities to go in and help residents in community acequias in their recovery. And so, you know, there's always plenty. I can send more, but I know in the sake of time, I just wanted to highlight some things and thank everybody who's here and the staff for keeping the wheels moving throughout the year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll answer any questions you guys may have.
Any questions or comments? Commissioner Ellis.
Just to comment, I was watching a news story this morning about cyber risk along this new EV network that is being built, and that New Mexico's own Sandia Labs is in the forefront of that. So I hope that the state is partnering with the labs and that we're looking at all aspects of the risk involved in having those stations out there.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, that's a great point, actually, and yesterday the question was posed to Secretary Buttigieg to that end about how this plays out, right? And I think what's important about the bipartisan infrastructure bill is how we actually work to develop a workforce to address and mitigate some of those concerns as well. So it's, I think, from the installation to the service and maintenance to minimizing security threats, we've got to work with our post-secondary partners to be sure that we're creating that workforce that can help us minimize that threat.
Any other comments? Secretary, thank you for your report and thank you for the job that you're doing. I know you and your team are going to have a busy session, so, and I know it's going to be hard preparing and being here and being there, so thank you for your efforts. Sure. With that, I'm going to go over to the FHWA report. Cindy? Hi, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's always good to have you here.
So Commissioners, Chairman, Secretary, good to be here today. And, you know, talking with some of the folks and, you know, a little bit of a lesson learned last night. I came through 152 and all those back-to-back S-curves. But got to see the forest and it was beautiful. But I'll be taking 180 this afternoon. But.
I took your ones too, and I'm on 180 too.
Yeah.
But it was a nice first time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and just have a few highlights here as we wrap up the year and start enjoying the holidays. You know, Federal Highways has been without an administrator for some time now. So we're hoping now with Congress getting into a new session, we may have a new administrator in Shaylin Bott, and we hope that he's confirmed soon. So I don't know if you know him, but
AASHTO.
from AASHTO, yep, absolutely. Another item that's been pretty high focus for us is Buy America and the requirements and the waivers for that. And so there, to provide a little bit of relief, 2 proposed waivers were issued, and they're available for comment until November 20th. Some of folks are here are very interested in that. So the 2 waivers are waiving $1 million or 5% on a contract, or also waiving minor projects less than $500,000. So, you know, not exactly what we were looking for, but we'll take it. Another new final rule that came out that's effective December 9th that may be of interest is indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. So we call it IDIQ. And it's a project delivery method. You guys know them as price agreements. So right now, federal funds don't participate in New Mexico price agreements, but if we develop a process for the IDIQs, we could be, you know, those could be federally funded, which is a good thing. And typically, just for a little bit of background, so like striping projects are a good example for IDIQ, those type of maintenance activities. And of course, Monday was the one-year anniversary of the bipartisan infrastructure law. And to date, 8 of the proposed grants, 8 of 23 of the proposed grants have been announced. So obviously, there's still a lot of work for us to do in that area, and those will continue to come out over the coming years. And lastly, I know that there is a lot of interest, including from myself, and I know from the DOT, on where do we stand with the mega grants. And I wish I had some good news on when those would be announced, but honestly, I haven't heard when those would be rolled out, but I know a lot of projects were applied for. So we'll stay tuned. So hopefully by the end of the year, we might have some good news. So that's all I have. Any questions or?
No, any questions or comments, fellow commissioners? Well, we thank you always for your
Thank you.
updates, and the only thing I would like is as we get into 2023, if you can, we get a lot of the entities that come to the meetings, and as we're going around the state, if you can continue to update us on all the grants and stuff that are out there, because they're always asking, where can we get money? And so if you can continue to do that, I would appreciate it. I had some people call you the last time, remember?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, even, you know, some potential if, on the Wednesday prior to these meetings, you know, I can, my team can come in early, and we're happy to meet with any locals and answer
Okay.
any questions. That's something we can do. If there's a need or a desire there, we're happy to do that too.
I appreciate that.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a safe trip back. Now we'll go ahead and move on to Mallory.
Good morning.
Morning.
Commissioner Taylor, what is the pirate's favorite letter?
Pirate's favorite letter?
R.
Why not C? Okay, so I'm going to report our financial status as of October 31st. Right now, on column E, line number 23, we have a $1.8 billion budget. Column F, line number 14, we have 3 months' worth of revenue, and we received $214.9 million. On column F, line number 22, we have spent $303.3 million of that, and this is all state road fund. On the next page, this is our restricted revenue. On our restricted revenue, we have a budget, column E, line number 22. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Column E, line number 22, $240.1 million is our budget. Column F, line number 23, we have received $32 million of revenue, and we have spent $20.6 million of that. On the next page, this shows our cash position, and I compare it from this time last year. So last year in State Road Fund, we had $356.3 million in cash. Right now, we have $426.7 million, so that's about a $70.4 million in cash that we've gained. And restricted revenue, we have $128.5 million in restricted revenue, and that's about a $48.7 million gain in cash for restricted revenue. On the last page, this shows our fund balance and where we project to end the fiscal year, June 30th of 2023. For State Road Fund, I am projecting about a $34 million in State Road Fund balance. So that's cash when we take out, come and ask for approval on bars. This is where the money will come from. And then on restricted revenues, we show about a $9.5 million in cash. And that's it. Chairman, with that, I stand for questions.
And as I always ask you, as far as you can see, we're right on track.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? With
Thank
not,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, can we have Mark?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr.
Good morning.
Secretary.
Welcome.
On page 54, the top of the page, We are currently holding 4 months' worth of your annual debt service. That comes to a total of a little over $64 million. You do have a bond debt service payment coming up on December 15th. That'll total $22 million. That will come from that 64. In the middle of that page, you have 2 project funds out of your 2021 bond series and your 14 bond series. That totals $311 million. The bottom of the page, the department has a $50 million line of credits for your BNSF escrow requirement. It's with Wells Fargo. There was no commitment be paid this month, but your next one is due in January. On the next page, on the left-hand side, the department has a total of $873,310,000 outstanding, with a final maturity going out to 2032. That's out of your 14A bond series. As I mentioned, you have a debt service payment on December 15th of $22 million, and you'll see the breakdown there. And with that, it's time for any questions.
Any questions, comments, fellow commissioners? With that, Mark, we always appreciate what you're doing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for being here. With that, I'm going to go on to letter C, action item with Kevin. And if it's all right with the commissioner, my fellow commissioners, what I'd like to do, he's got 4 or 5 of them. If he can just go through all of them, and then I'll just make a motion on all of them. Is that fine? Okay.
Good morning, Mr.
Morning,
Chair.
thank you for being here.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Cabinet Secretary. Here to present 5 bars, 8 through 12. All of these are for fiscal year 23, and they are all 100% federal reimbursable with funding from the Federal Transit Administration. Bar number 8 would increase professional services, category 300, by $400,000, and federal grants services, category 400, by $350,000. These funds will support the operation of intercity public transportation, and these funds are awarded through the American Rescue Plan Act, Section 5311. Bar number 9 would increase the budget authority for the Transit Bureau in federal grants and services, category 400, in the amount of $314,854. These funds will support the operations of the North Central Regional Transit District, and these funds are awarded through the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security CARES Act, Section 5311 funds. Bar number 10 would increase the budget authority for the Transit Bureau in federal grants and services, category 400, in the amount of $4,998,580 million. These funds will be used to purchase battery electric buses and supporting infrastructure to replace diesel and gasoline buses on North Central RTD routes in the Taos area. These funds come from a discretionary award of Section 5339 low or no emission vehicles funds for the department to administer on behalf of the North Central RTD. Bar number 11 is required to increase the budget authority for the Transit Bureau in federal grants and services, category 400, in the amount of $391,675. These funds will be used to purchase replacement transit buses, and the Bureau has been awarded these Section 5339 small urban bus and bus facilities funds to administer on behalf of the city of Santa Fe. Finally, bar number 12, this would increase the budget authority in the Transit Bureau in professional services, category 300, in the amount of $648,000. These funds will be used to maintain and expand the existing NM Go van pool program, which pays a portion of monthly van pool user fees. These funds come from a transfer of federal highway congestion mitigation and air quality funds to FTA Section 5307 urbanized area funds. And with that, I request your approval of bars 8 through 12, and I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Any questions, comments?
Just a question.
Yes, Commissioner Hollis.
These vehicles that are replaced, what happens to the old vehicles? I mean, are they transferred to other facilities that can be used, or do they go in the state pool for auction?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, these vehicles are usually funded with Federal Transit Administration money, and Federal Transit Administration requires that any money from the proceeds of sale, scrap, anything like that gets reinvested back into the transit program that maintains the vehicles.
So if they were sold or auctioned or whatever, those funds would stay within New Mexico?
Correct. They would stay within, for example, the North Central Regional Transit District. They would.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Secretary, what's your recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Kevin, for toughing it out and being here. Really appreciate it. You made it. I recommend approval of bars 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Okay, I'm gonna vote just for the record. Do I have a motion for approval of budget adjustment request, bar number 9, the America Rescue Plan, approval of bar number 9, the Virus Aid Relief and Economic Security, approval of bar number 10, Lower No Emission Fund, bar number 11, Small Urban and Bus Facilities Fund, and number 12, Urbanized Area Fund, bar number 12. Do I have a motion?
With humility, I make that motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Taylor.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Alice. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And with that, we're gonna go on to Charles. How you doing?
Commissioner, Chairman, thanks for having me today. In 2017, the DOT entered into a quarter coalition with Arizona DOT, Caltrans, and Texas DOT. Part of that was associated, it's called the I-10 Corridor Coalition. And the whole idea was to come up with making I-10 operate more efficiently and more seamlessly across the state, specifically to accommodate commercial vehicle operations. As part of the different initiatives that came into play, there was a few. One was identifying available rest areas along the alignment, public rest areas, I should say, the parking spaces, I should. The other was looking at a uniform level of credentialing and permitting across the states to allow for more seamless transfer of goods and freight. The other item was a freight truck advisory system for public information. And then the final item that they talked about, the Corridor Coalition really focusing on, was the use of smart infrastructure along I-10 so that the vehicles along the roadways would be able to obtain information about various things, roadside operations, for example, weigh in motion, things like that. Of those different initiatives, the first initiative that the Corridor Coalition identified as rising to the highest priority was the truck parking availability systems in rest areas. I'm not sure if you guys have ever had a chance to drive by I-10 or I-40 and see all the trucks that are just literally on the ramps. One of the initiatives associated with this was to try to help eliminate that so that they would know in advance what the truck parking availability at the rest areas are. This would be accommodated in a few different ways. One would be through what's called the roadside signage. I'm not sure if you guys have seen them in other states. They're called dynamic parking availability signs, very similar to our dynamic message signs that we have on the roadways, except for it's very focused, associated with what the parking space allocation is, the occupancy and the vacancy. We'll also get this information out to our NM Roads website, and it'll be able to be consumed by various different users and other third-party apps. And hopefully it'll be a platform that can be leveraged by the private truck parking communities as well. This initiative was put into play, like I said, by the Corridor Coalition, and it was started shortly after the coalition was formed. So the estimates that were put into play, that we programmed the amount of $2.4 million, was pre-COVID estimates, supply chain issues, inflation, and now the engineer's estimate is approaching $2.8 million. So there's a shortage between the programmed amount and what we envision the actual amount will be by way of the engineer's estimate. To that end, we're requesting a bar to make up for that shortage so that we can hopefully see this project through.
Thank you, Charles.
Yes, sir.
Is there any questions, comments from fellow commissioners? Mr. Secretary, what's your recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, this is a great project from a driver safety, litter control perspective, so I recommend approval of the bar.
You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion on the action item of approval, bar number 13, commercial vehicle truck parking availability system?
I make a motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Sandoval,
I'll second the motion.
second by Commissioner Chenoweth. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Chairman.
Charles.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You look sharp today, too. Yeah, that's all right, but you do look sharp. And we'll go on now to the financial hardship waiver program. Desiree, welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. If you can go ahead and turn to page 70. On page 70, you will find a request for approval for the FY23 Local Government Road Fund Match Waiver Program. The Local Government Road Fund Match Waiver Program authorizes the department to distribute up to $1 million of LGRF money to entities that can demonstrate financial hardship for use as all or a portion of their 25% match fund requirement. The projects listed on page 70 have been analyzed by the Department of Finance and Administration and have been deemed eligible for the waiver program. Therefore, we are asking for your approval to issue $847,308 in match waiver funding to the entities listed. If you can, also, if you could please disregard pages 72 and 73 as they were inadvertently left off of the agenda, so we cannot seek approval at this time, and we will be seeking approval for those items in the January commission.
Any questions, comments, fellow commissioners?
So at this time, I respectfully request approval.
Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I recommend approval of the match waiver allocations as provided on page 70.
You have heard the recommendation on the financial hardship match waiver program, local government funds. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Ellis. Second. Second by Commissioner Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you for your
Thank you so
presentation.
much. Thank
And
you.
we look forward to seeing you at the other meeting because you're going to have to do the other ones, right?
Yes, that
Okay.
is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we're gonna go on to the adoption and resolution. This we do every year, no, or every 2 years?
Yes, every year.
Rick?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Secretary, this morning I'm going to ask for your approval to extend the use of the JAL route as a temporary negotiated alternate southern whip route. On August 29th, 2022, the DOE CBFO requested NMDOT extend the term of use of temporary negotiated alternate southern whip route, which we refer to as the JAL route, beyond the termination date of December 31st, 2022, established by the STC in resolution number 2021-02, November, until December 31st, 2023. As justification for continued use of the JAL route, instead of the existing state-designated southern whip route, which is US 285 to US 62-180, DOE CBFO identifies several adverse conditions to whip transportation safety. These conditions include construction projects, including major reconstruction projects of US 62-180, Carlsbad East Green Street over the Pecos River, and heavy oil field traffic. And I can't stress enough, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, about that oil field traffic. It is heavy. NMDOT recommends the STC extend the term of the JAL route and allow DOE CBFO continuing use of the JAL route as a temporary negotiated alternate southern whip route until June 30, 2023, unless terminated earlier by notice. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, the reason why we did that, as you know, we have some projects that are coming up here pretty quick. The intersection of Mexico 31, 128 is on that list as well. So we're just going to have to see how those projects play out. We've been working with Francisco Sanchez, our District 2 engineer. So when those projects do come alive, we will then talk to CBFO and we will work on an alternative route at that point. But at this time, we're going to stick to the JAL route. until further notice. So, Mr. Chairman, with that said, I do ask for your approval.
Any comments, questions?
Just a question.
Commissioner Ellis.
Mr. Padilla, how many years has this been the quote-unquote temporary
Mr.
route?
Chairman and Commissioner, Ken, I think we've been utilizing an alternate route since about 2015.
That's what I'm thinking of. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, 5 or 6 years, I believe.
Yeah, you bet. And during that period of time, have there been any issues whatsoever?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner, no, there has. I mean, we've had accidents now and then, but I work with Letha Trujillo from MNRD, and we negotiate alternate routes during those such events. But other than that, things have been running real smoothly, and that's the reason why we have these alternate routes.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. So with that, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of extending this alternative route.
So we have a recommendation to request to designate a certain segment of New Mexico 137. No, I'm on the wrong one. For the approval and adoption of Resolution 2022-08 NOV extending the term of use of the jail route as a temporary negotiated alternate southern whip route. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Ellis.
I'll
Do I
second.
have a second from Commissioner Chenoweth. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Now we'll go on to Francisco.
Chairman,
Welcome.
Commissioners. This is going to be this is a follow-up to our March commission meeting where Eddy County ROV, in accordance with Commission Policy 71, was presented as a discussion item. And so during that presentation, we went through, how it met the policy. So today we're requesting for the approval of the designated route within your packet.
Commissioners, any questions or comments? Yes, sir. Commissioner Ellis.
So I know that in the short time that I've been on the commission, I think this is the third or fourth of these that we've approved. We've always had concerns either from local law enforcement about their ability to enforce a specific area along those routes. I know it's been an issue in the village of Ruidoso and Alto, and actually came back and extended it that one period of time. Can we look back in the rearview mirror and see what we have learned from any of that helps us as we look at these going forward?
You know, what really, sheds some light on these ROVs is really, as a department and with the communities come to us to propose them, are really what are the limits that we really should be looking at. Ruidoso, that was passed in 2 parts, and, in hindsight, really we should have came through and done it as one. And so that was a lesson learned, is really looking at the designated limits. And one thing that we have to make sure is that whatever route we're taking or bringing to the commission for approval is in line with Commission Policy 71. At the district level, when we receive these requests quite a bit from a lot of municipalities, these ROVs are very popular. All municipalities within District 2, and probably similar in other districts, have passed their ordinance to use these within cities. And so we just want to make sure that we are meeting that policy. Here, the Queens Highway and 37, we're comfortable at the district recommending to the commission. Number one, it's in the heart of Lincoln Forest. It's a big hunting recreational area. Law enforcement is always a concern, as we saw in Ruidoso, lessons learned, that people are going to go outside those limits if it's not enforced. But the designated area that we are proposing today for approval has the game wardens in the area are proponents of this, but they also are active in enforcing the state statutes and laws regarding all vehicles on that highway, specifically once this ROV gets past the commission.
Any other questions or comments on that? Before I ask for a recommendation, I just want to make sure with our legal counsel that you're happy with everything. I know you reviewed it. We've been in the making for a while, and it's good to go.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, yes, this is one that we actually returned to Eddy County several months ago because
Right.
it didn't, the resolution didn't quite meet our requirements. So we reviewed again based on the new submittal and find that it complies the request. any way complies with the requirements of the Off-Highway Motor Vehicle Act, NCP, or Commission Policy 71. So from that standpoint, Mr. Chairman, we're fine with it.
That's why I was asking you, because I know there was a couple of things we needed to tweak, and then from the traffic safety, everything was good to go, I guess, no? So with that, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the request to designate a certain segment of 137 to operate recreational off-highway vehicles.
You heard the recommendation on the request to designate a certain segment of New Mexico 137 for the operation of recreational off-highway vehicles. What is the pleasure of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve.
So moved by Commissioner Chenoweth.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Alice. All in favor?
Aye.
It carries unanimously.
Thank you, Chairman.
And I had some individuals from Eddy County call and say that you're working with them very, very well, and they were very happy with your leadership. So I want to commend you on that on behalf of the commission, too.
I appreciate that, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners.
With that, we're going to go on to the approval of proposed 2023 STC meeting schedule.
Mr. Chairman, on page 108, you have a schedule beginning with January 19th and ending on November 16th of 2023 with proposed meeting dates, locations, which of course come with the deadlines for posting both the agenda and the legal notice. Certainly, the dates are probably of most importance, but the locations, obviously, if we ever need to change those, we can do so. But this gives us a sense of how we prepare for the meetings on a month-to-month. So requesting your approval of the 2023 schedule.
Before we get into that, I just wanted to make a quick comment in that if it's meets with my fellow commissioners' approval, we're not gonna, this isn't an action item what I'm presenting now, but due to the fact that every legislative session we meet in Santa Fe, and that falls within Commissioner Taylor's time to pick one, so if we would plan on sometime during the year, and we can do that at other meetings, plan to have a special meeting at a place that he designates, would that be fine? Because I don't think it's fair that he give up his thing, and is that fine with you, Commissioner Taylor?
Yes, it is.
Like we did up in Farmington?
Yes.
Okay, so with that, what is your recommendation?
I recommend approval of the proposed schedule.
Okay, and that is, you've heard the thing, so let me just, for the people, on January 19th will be our next meeting. That'll be in Santa Fe. We don't have a place yet. March 16th will be in TRC. March 18th will be in Gallup. July 20th will be in Rio Doso. September 21st, we're going to Angel Fire. And on November 16th, we'll be at Isleta. You heard the recommendation. What is do I have a motion? Or is there, we can make changes. Everybody fine? And commissioners, if for whatever reason at our next meeting in January, if you wanna, change your place, change your date, we can put it on the agenda and we can do it at that time. I'm actually looking for a motion to approve the dates and the locations. Well, okay, so for you, it would be, TRC falls in D1.
No, but Franklin is pointing out it's 2 days before the end of the session, so likely we'll have to move that one.
Okay, so we can actually approve it, and then we can make changes as necessary at our January meeting. So we can, if that's all right with everybody, and then because of the legislature, and then other things.
I know of a conflict with the 19th that could affect, quite a few.
So for our next meeting, why don't you get a hold of Mershan, give her a date,
and give her the place, and we can make adjustments at our next meeting.
January 19th.
Yeah, January 19th.
No, but that meeting might be moved.
And that one might be moved too, so.
Is the secretary and the chairman comfortable with changing the days?
Why don't,
You know, to perhaps a Friday or a close to.
let's do this, Ken, can we do being that it's just an approval, if we have a special meeting, can we do it by Zoom?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, sure, absolutely, you can do that.
So that'll give, the secretary time to figure out the legislative stuff, and we can do that. If the commission would want to, we can hold off on this, and we can call a special meeting in December sometime, and we can do it by Zoom to approve the schedules. So what we do is, on that, we won't approve it. We'll hold off on it, and until, if it's all right with you, we can have a special meeting sometimes in December. I can have Rashawn call and see what dates are available. As long as we have 4 there and you submit your thing, we can do it by Zoom.
And, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, so the record ought to probably just reflect that this particular item has been tabled.
Yeah. So do I have a motion to table the action item of proposed 2023 STE meeting schedule?
Also moved, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion from Commissioner Taylor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Chenoweth to table that item to another day. So all in favor? Opposed? That carries unanimously. Now we're going to bring up Ken again. He thought he was, Kevin, you thought you were out of the woods?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Cabinet Secretary, I'm here to present as an informational item the annual report to the State Auditor regarding regional transit districts. Section 73-25-15B NMSA 1978 requires that the Commission shall file an annual report with the State Auditor concerning the activities of all active regional transit districts. The report shall detail how many districts have been created, describe their boundaries, and specify the regional transit systems that are being provided and how they are being funded. Attached as an information item is the fiscal year 2021 report that will be sent to the State Auditor in compliance with Section 73-25-15B NMSA and Commission Policy 90. Just as a reminder, there are 4 RTDs in the state. One is Corey Caminos next door, the Southwest RTD, South Central RTD, Rio Metro, and North Central. And with that, I am not requesting any action as this is an information item, but I am happy to stand for any questions.
Is there any questions? You all had a chance to review the audit that was sent in, right? And so it was a good audit, right, Kevin? And we thank you for your work and your efforts, and it's always good to get a clean bill of health.
Thank you.
So with that, we thank you, and now we're going to go on to Denise.
Last but not least.
You have 30 minutes.
Oh, wow. I really can't talk that long. Trent's already eyed me and texted me. So, good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Secretary. I'm Denise Peralta. I am the Director of Capital Programs and Investments Division. Really, I just say Asset Management and Pavement Design Manager. But I brought Phil to actually give the presentation for the TAMP. So he's going to give you the presentation.
You can't get it. Let me see. He's not on the agenda.
He
can't help
is.
you.
He is. I promise.
Oh, yeah. There he is. Okay, you're good.
Got rattled there.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Bill, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
I used to share an office right next to you.
Yes, sir, you did.
You never shared your chips.
Never shared the chips. Never shared much.
Just kidding. He was a good guy.
So, do you have the PowerPoint? It should be in the agenda.
Keep going.
There you go. So I want to go over the Asset management plan, give you an update as to how it comes about and how the TAMP comes about. Everybody has a copy of the TAMP, and I'll be making reference to it throughout the presentation. So, next slide. One of the New Mexico Department of Transportation's key priorities is to keep the state's bridge and pavements in desired state of good repair. Transportation asset management is an important aspect of that effort. The TAMP helps to ensure the efficiency and responsible investment of the taxpayer dollars to achieve the best possible road and bridge conditions given their current condition levels and anticipated funding. On the right side of that slide, you're going to see the CFR that we actually follow in order to get the TAMP into play. Next slide. 23 CFR 490, MAP 21 TAMP requirements. This addresses pavements and bridge on national highway system, and only in the national highway system, not all routes. It incorporates performance measures identified in 23 CFR 490, which is the PM2 measures for FHWA, and incorporates a 10-year projection to identify where we're going to be within the 10 years and see to ensure we're going to meet the criteria set by FHWA and for the NHS and the interstates. Next slide, 23 CFR 515.9 asset management plan requirements are going to be the objectives, measures, and targets, summary condition descriptions, life cycle planning, risk management and analysis, financial plan, and investment strategies. The TAM objectives is a data-driven approach to use sound information on pavements and bridge condition to assess current performance, identify gaps to be addressed, and set priorities for improvement considering risk. Long-term approach is to predict future needs, set realistic performance targets, and plan for the most cost-effective set of strategies to meet the targets. An integrative approach is to involve a connected process of policy formulation, planning, program development, implementation, and performance analysis. And this continues on. We're creating a transparent approach to establish clear goals, objectives, and performance targets in order to tell a clear story. Continuous improvement approach is regularly take stock of current asset management business practices, data and information systems, and move forward with priority initiatives for strengthening the data-driven approach. This slide here is actually in the TAMP. It's page 2-2 within the TAMP. And this is showing the NMDOT NHS routes, NMDOT NHS-owned, NMDOT-owned NHS bridges, and below that is showing all routes owned by NMDOT. This next slide is actually reflected on page 4-6 on the TAMP. This is showing the performance analysis gap that was submitted to FHWA and approved. Analysis approach, payment and bridge current funding scenario, performance that can be achieved with projected funding that is expected to be available to NMDOT over the 10-year analysis period for pavements and bridges. Payment and bridge desired scenario, maintain condition at current levels over the next 10 years. Funding level has been generated to reflect the desired condition level. Life cycle planning, this is the definition based off of the 23 CFR Part 515.7. A state DOT shall establish a process for conducting life cycle planning for an asset class or asset subgroup at a network level. Risk management definition. The processes and framework for managing potential risks include identifying, analyzing, evaluating, and addressing the risk to assess to assets and system performance. the NMDOT has identified the following risks: financial, limited use of management systems, data gaps, risk to TAM program, extreme events, natural and man-made disasters and weather. Financial plan, this is another definition in 23 CFR 515.5. And if state DOT does not develop and implement a TAMP consistent with statute and regulations with a Part 150 performance targets by 18 months after effective date of the NHS Bridge Performance Measure Rule, and every 4 years after that, FHWA can take away 65% of the NHPP funds. Which we don't have to worry about that because we were approved. We were certified.
And we're one of the first states to be certified, so that's kind of a big accomplishment for Mexico.
And the last page is 23 CFR 515, the deadlines and phase-in. April 30th of 2018 is when the initial TAMP was submitted and signed off on. January 30th, 2019, state approved the risk-based TAMP submittal to FHWA with all requirements. June 30th of 2022, and every 4 years after that, updated state-approved risk-based TAMP submittal to FHWA with all requirements. With that, I stand for any questions.
And before that, I know you guys are like, this is a lot of information and sometimes even the whole DOT, but it's a CFR requirement, and we have to report all these in order for the funding. You heard that last slide. So we just wanted to give you guys this information. It's every 4 years. I believe this is the second TAMP, right, that's been approved with the New Mexico DOT. So as we move forward, we've been great. On pavement, we always meet the numbers, but we are working with the districts to keep moving forward and getting our numbers met, and working with the STIP and everyone and Bridge to make sure we plan out the years moving forward.
This is the program that replaced, what was the name of the old program?
It was it the Compass?
Yeah, it was one of those. But this is actually the updated, or the latest and greatest, I should say, so. Any questions from fellow commissioners? Mr. Secretary.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation. I have she's already driven.
We're cringing.
There's cringing. Sorry.
For the record, we were quick. Ricky's asking a question. He's asking a question.
So going back to the table here, pavement and bridges, the tables that show the red, the green, and the yellow, can you just tell us how, and I know you have on page 130 the financial plan, which is how you're going to spend to get to our targets, how we're going to spend to get to our targets. So where would you say the red portions of bridges and pavements, the poor condition, okay, areas, where would they materialize as priorities for the DOT? So if someone were to say, okay, District 1 has the largest percentage of bridge deck in poor condition, where can we point to that says that's where it's represented as a priority in terms of projects?
So that's where the bridge management section is doing that right now with the additional federal funding they've received. They are working on that prioritization and all of their categories and requirements.
So would D1 have them in their STIP as priorities on the front years, or?
That's what we're working with the districts on, because we're kind of, everything's been set, but we gotta have to, on our end, we have to make sure we meet the numbers. So I can't state the district has that as a priority, but this is where we're gonna come in with the CAR. What's the CAR? The
condition analysis report form?
And hope that we're both on the same path of, look, this is where it meets, this is why it's in the red, and do you have it on the STIP for the next 4 to 8 years?
Okay, so we're kind of furthering this culture that this is gonna guide STIP priorities for the districts.
We hope.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
So if this study is only done every 4 years, in a 10-year
actually working together with the districts on a quarterly basis. We're constantly working with them to ensure that we're gonna meet our measures, because this is just a TAMP that is required every 4 years. We have a consistency
Yes.
Yes. We have a consistency determination, which is also federally required, which is every year. And that's to reflect pavements and bridges and 5 categories, which is gonna be the construction, reconstruction, rehab, maintenance, and preservation.
So I see your question about the gap, but we're constantly reporting every year, so we always fill the gap.
So it's just meeting the requirement on the 4 years.
Correct.
Yes. That when this report, this book is due. But like we said, we meet quarterly not only with FHWA to make sure we meet our numbers, but then the reporting is due every year.
Every year.
But it's the book, the TAMP, that's reported every 4 years.
So there's not a gap necessarily in the analysis?
No.
No.
And when the requirements, yes.
And we're actually narrowing down that gap that was existing by actually meeting quarterly to ensure we're meeting the measures.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just to
Commissioner Chen.
reiterate what Secretary Serna said, it would be really great to know that this information is getting translated down to the districts in a way that makes help with strategic allocation of funds, right? So that these things, these projects are actually coming to fruition. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner, that was a great question as it relates to the districts, because really this TAP is what drives the district's decisions in identifying projects for the STIP, right? That's part of the CART forum that we were talking about. That establishes the criteria and basically rates them, and then we start chipping away at those projects in the STIP. And I know the legislature is really, pushing the equity, right? They want to, but this is really not that. So we got to figure out a way. Secretary Serna, of course, was going to be Trentulo, to figure out a way to embed that into the STIP, so that way we meet not only the TAP and the federal requirements, but we also appease the legislature, right? And that equity. So maybe we take a chunk of the money received and we put it towards the TAP, and then we have something at the discretion of the secretary, so that we meet everybody's needs. So that's really the plan, and that's really what we're trying to figure out now, and this is part of that plan, if you will.
That's a smart idea, Mr. Chairman, the idea of kind of kind of like a level the playing field budget that says, there's equity in the distribution of this, but we have poor conditions here that need to be addressed and
Prioritize.
And then to have the information in case anyone ever asks, like we have all the information, it's documented.
It's like, don't tell me, show me,
Yes, which we have.
Any other questions? My fellow commissioners have asked me that I stay behind after the meeting, sit down with you and Philip, and we can go through the whole book. Would that be
Okay,
fine?
that works.
Yeah.
That's fine, Chairman, because I know you're further than us.
So with that said, is there any other questions, any other comments to come before? If not, we thank you for your work, Philip. Denise, thank you so very much for your presentation, and it wasn't that bad,
No? Oh,
because there's gonna be plenty more.
good, yes, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
And with that, it's everybody's favorite time of the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn today's meeting at 11:41?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Alice,
Happens if nobody moves.
Second.
second from Commissioner Chenoweth. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, and I want to again, on behalf of the commission, wish each and every one of you a happy, blessed, safe Thanksgiving and your families. And thank you for your attendance here today.
It's rough, this alternative